Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ceremonial Witch finally here, but I don't know for how long. So, anyways, formal apology for all the time it's taken in between. I don't think everybody who listens to my stuff is on either YouTube or Instagram or my Twitter or Tumblr. I don't even know if my my Tumblr or Twitter actually work, but Instagram for sure and YouTube for sure. Everything gets uploaded to those. But anyways, I posted a couple videos about just the fight me and my wife had and the insights I got from it. If that interests anybody, it's 4 minute and like a 25-minute video. But you don't have to, because I'm gonna just play it here anyways. Added with the stuff I recorded on Saturday nights, last Saturday before the fight. Added to a bunch of the previous other videos I've recorded. And I'm not doing this just to put something out. I'm just doing it to test the new mobile fucking broadcast system there on this phone. It's very hard to record when I'm on days. A few reasons, and my brother-in-law is down. He's been staying with us, so there's an extra pair of ears and eyes around for when I record. So when I think or I know someone's listening to me, I have a hard time recording, even if I have the insights and all that. And being on days and spending time with the family and the kid and the baby and all that, it's very hard for me to find time to actually do this, and that's something I have to do. But generally, when I find the time to actually do it, I don't end up fucking doing it. So, point is, I apologize, and I will be back to putting out at least 2 to 3 videos a week. Come, hopefully this weekend, I start working on it, getting it back to regular, and going forward next week and shit like that. So, there's going to be some insights and shit on here from the shit I said on Saturday. And if you haven't checked out any of the videos I have either on YouTube or on Instagram or whatever, they're the few that I'm going to play, then you might get something from it as well. But I'm very sorry I haven't been able to do this. And, it actually very much affects me, because it pisses me off when I can't record, and I really want to, because I do get so much joy and pleasure out of recording and talking and learning stuff, because I might be the person saying this shit, and you guys are the ones downloading it, but most of the time, almost every single episode, every time I record myself, I actually learn something, something I didn't know previously, and that's pretty fucking profound. So it's something that really upsets me when I can't do it. And that's one of the reasons me and my wife got in a fight, because she decided to go to the gym. You'll hear all about it after, but she decided to go to the gym when I was ready to do it, so anyways, but I just wanted to make a formal apology, and this would be an actual intro besides all the other intros you're going to hear. And if it seems a little fucked up, it's just because I clicked on the wrong thing, and it will make sense. But yeah, I'm very sorry. You don't have to listen to this episode if you already see my YouTube videos. Now I don't know if I haven't even put it together yet. I'm going to probably play the new material first. And keep in mind, I was very tired when I recorded this. You can actually hear that in my voice. But I'll put the new material first, and then I'll play the audio from the videos after. Yeah. So anyways, I should have more to say, but I got to run in the store right now and get some fucking shit for some people that are too lazy to do it themselves. No, that's not true. I offered. But anyways, and I offered so I could leave the house to fucking record this. Pretty sad. But anyways, yeah, I'll try to come back on and tell you some other shit rather than just my recorded shit. And if not, I will at least post to a few videos or put some books on here, PDFs for free or something I think are useful, just because I've been, such a, neglecting my fucking podcast. Anyways, I gotta go in the store, and I gotta stop wasting gas. If I don't talk to you again, have a great fucking day. Alright, so just quickly finish what I was saying, because my car cut me off because it just stopped. Anyways, so like the gods, like anybody, nobody is all bad, nobody is all good. Yin yang, you're either more than one, or you're either a little bit of good and bad, or a little bit bad and good. So that's kind of the point of depolarization, because
depending on if you are more good or more bad, doesn't matter. You need to strive to be the opposite direction, because if you were too good, well, you got walked all over. If you were too bad, you used people. And every other way you can look at that is also valid. That's just the one I'm using right now. But the point is, whether Albert Pike was good or bad, even if he was searching spirituality and trying to find, the meaning of life. I think Grant Morrison said it the best when he said, the Illuminati, okay, everybody's trying to figure out, what are we here for? Well, what is this? What's life? And they seem to find a way that works for them. He doesn't agree with it because, it involves the industrial complex and hurting people and whatnot, but they're just trying to find a way that works for them. And I don't think that's completely accurate either, but that shows his depolarization. The fact that he doesn't know, but if you go by what you're told, well then okay, they may not be good. But point is, even if somebody is evil, they do bring some kind of awareness or do some kind of good through their evil acts in some small way, shape, or form, even if they are the most evil person in the world. Because, let's say that the devil was real. If the devil was real and his job is to punish you if you're bad and don't care about being punished eternally after you die, well, then, he takes care of those people and they get their ultimate karma. And, and for everybody else that he scares into being good little believers and followers, well then, more people are good because of him. So this is a completely evil person who serves a purpose that is considered to be, who serves a good purpose. Point is, nothing is all bad or all good. So if you knew Martin Luther King personally, I'm sure there'd be some point in his life or some things that he did that may not be good. Same with Mother Teresa, same with any prophet, Jesus, whoever, doesn't matter. No one is all bad, no one is all good. And yeah, I'm not going to go into what they say, not yet anyways, but it's something I think you guys should check out, and if I can, I will post this in the description, all the links to the PDFs. So anyways, yeah, hope you enjoy the rest. If I have something else to say, I will come on and say it as I listen to the shit that goes on, and if I have to elaborate on something I've already said, then I will do so. But otherwise, yeah, this is just kind of a couple little intros that I just did, plus audios from my videos that are on YouTube of me saying shit not of my Spreaker episodes, and then some information I was talking about Alan Watts and religion and the church and shit like that. So you don't have to listen to it if you don't want to. Either way, I appreciate you for downloading, checking this out, whatever the case is. I appreciate everybody who's ever listened to my shit, and I'm sorry for the lack of episodes. As you can tell my voice, I don't know if there's something going on virus-wise in my wonderful, beautiful, healing body. I don't want to say anything that could jinx me, but point is, things will go back to normal starting next week, and hopefully sooner if I can help it. So yeah, once again, I hope everybody has a absolutely wonderful weekend.
Alright, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Corey LeBlanc back again, the ceremonial witch who created ceremonial witchcraft, which is a spirituality that anybody can take on their own, and it doesn't really have strict guidelines or curriculums. And I'm not a guru or someone who teach you. However, if anybody has questions and wants any help, and I'm more than willing to help you and not charge you for it either. Just send me a message or whatever the case is, and I'll tell you what I know and how I achieved what you're trying to achieve, and whatever the case is. One of the things I'm going to talk about today is how a lot of gurus out in the east part of the world, whenever people come up to them asking for enlightenment or how to reach enlightenment, or asking for the guru to take them on as a student to teach them what they know, but whether the guru is a good one or not, even if they do know something about enlightenment, there's Alan Watts. There's one of the people. You'll notice that if I watch Alan Watts, I'm gonna
I'll say him in one video. The next couple videos after, I'm going to keep referring to him because it's fresh in my head. And like I said, I can watch anything and get inspiration for episodes and things to talk about. So that's what's going on here. And anyways, he talked about the game that gurus like to play, that if someone comes up to them asking them about the enlightenment, well, they already know that person doesn't know how to get enlightenment whatsoever. They're just brand new, because the only true way to, get your enlightenment or get the answers or whatever the case is through yourself, is within you. All those answers are within yourself. So the act of going to somebody else to receive enlightenment, such as Christians going to church, to a priest, that just like going to see a guru to learn how to meditate, or how do I become like Buddha and shit like that. Asking someone else to teach you how to become enlightened is, it's an oxymoron. It's a paradox kind of situation, and so they're an easy mark, an easy target. These people can be taken advantage of, and this happens all the time via YouTube and all these other places. There's a lot of good info out there and good programs you can buy. I would totally promote Birch and Mind and Magic for how to do their programs or whatever. But anybody who's trying to, charging you a lot of money and promising you a lot of things that other people wouldn't do, be a little leery about that. But anyways, that's just one out of the many things that I want people to know, because there's a lot of info out there, and I think it's perpetuated by those sorts of individuals. But it's to that you need a guru, that you need to learn from a guru or a master or someone who's been through it. And if you're trying to learn a certain tradition, that's true. There's different traditions of witchcraft that you have to learn from elders. But generally, when you go in there, you're learning the ways of the tradition. You're not trying to find enlightenment per se. So it's a whole different ball game. Similar scenario, words, circles, but it's a different concept. Whereas this person's trying to find within, wants to know his passion and this and that and the other thing. Whereas the other people are trying to experience, a tradition that they may have came from, or that they're, there is a difference there. And, I'm not having the right words come out to explain it that well, but there is a difference. But the same thing happens as well, though. There are stories about covens, guys, telling girls to if they want to go ahead, or they want the spirits around them want her to sleep with him, kind of thing. And these women will sleep with them. There's a lot of I've read that in a few books and heard people's testimonies. Never did any back checking on it to see if these things are factual or not there, but I trust one of the sources, but I still take it with a grain of salt just in case. But anyways, it's besides the point. So you got to watch out for any kind of spiritual pool sharking, I guess. Like what a pool shark is, right? Somebody who fakes being good at pool, or fakes being bad at pool, and then all of a sudden he's really good. Well, that's what this is kind of like. You go into these places and they tell you one thing, and then they end up being not what they promoted themselves to be, and you don't get your enlightenment. All you end up getting is broke. But you never know. Through being broke, you might actually find your spiritual enlightenment, and maybe you'll actually go within at that point. But that's why I think people online, and Bubba's here. Told you it's on the bed. People online, on podcasts, on blogs, on Facebooks, wherever, putting out spiritual truths or what they do or their traditions or information, or trying to help people in general. I think that's super important. And I don't play the games of paying or not paying, which one's better or worse. What you should do, that's based on the person, what the person wants to do. Birch charges now, but he said he did 20 years of pro bono. Mind and Magic's, he came on, he started a series, and maybe about a year into his series, he started charging people, but for specific things, and he was still doing the Mind and Magic series. So it all depends on the person and what they want to do and what they have to offer. And it's left up to them. They offer the service, and if people put value in it and buy it, well, then I guess there's value in it, because they're both going strong. So I'm never going to say it's not good, but for me to try to put this on iTunes and charge for it, like I said before, I don't think I'm there, and I don't want to do that, because I don't think everybody's spiritualities are the same. I don't think two people can have the same spiritualities. I think everybody's going to have a different view on spiritualities. I think that the researching all the old spiritualities of the very old ones, predating God, or predating God. Well, yeah, probably. But all the really older ones there, where it was drawings on the walls, whatever you want to call it, Egyptian, if you want to call it Egyptian witchcraft, but those Egyptian mythologies, the Greeks and the Romans, and studying all those, studying the ones, all the Romans that had conquered, the Druids, the Tuatha De Danann in Israel, in Ireland, all these different places, studying all those. When you do that, you see all the links. And then you look at the modern day spiritualities, that some of them have spun off from these other spiritualities. And from there, you see more similarities, but also a lot of things lost and not the same. And I think that's the only way to come up with your own idea of what you should do as your own spirituality. I think that's the best option for everybody, is to go out there and research, because people are gonna. Not everybody's going to do it the same way. Not everybody's going to hit fear-based media like I did and get kind of scared and, think the world was completely different, which that was just a process of my programs breaking down, that, that there was an almighty powerful God up there, had my back, and, all I have to do is work, and as long as I keep working my job, he'll provide me my bills paid, and that's the happy life that I got programmed by the TV and my parents that I wanted, and everything's all good. Well, when I started hearing this stuff about the 9/11 conspiracies and the Illuminati, and it goes deep into Hollywood and all the baby and fucking singers and rappers and all the aliens, reptilian fucking queens, and that just, it got to me. And then, well, flat Earth was one of the first things I looked into that was a little more light, but it wasn't very light. It was about a lie, and the chemtrails and the vaccines, and it was brutal. So, when I got into all that, I don't think everybody's gonna hit that first, but I think there's a very high likelihood that that's what brings a lot of this on, because that's the thing. I can show my wife all this shit, and she doesn't pay attention to it. It's not until something happens internally that when you see that information, something clicks, something there. Personal, maybe not personal, maybe it's just how you are that day, maybe it's just the time that you were chosen to, wake up out of this programming or whatever. Maybe you got programmed, as a kid, for the first 7 years in your little hypnotic kind of trance, and then after that, it was through the rhythm after that, because you were conscious after 7, so to speak, and then but you're doing the same things over and over again that you've been doing, going to school, this, that, don't talk, raise your hand, ask to go pee, doing all that shit. So through that. But maybe at some point, there's somewhere in there where you didn't get programming for a certain amount of time. Maybe you fell in love with somebody and you just stopped doing things right or wrong, or you totally flipped the script. I don't even know how that'd be possible, but I'm trying to explain something that's unexplainable, I think. And that's the process of how this awakening is happening, and how it happens at different ages, different times for different people. And it could be according to your birth chart, but, maybe there was just a gap somewhere where the programming stopped and then, restarted. But during that gap, you're able to see a different light of things. You're actually able to see with your eyes open or your eyes closed, maybe with your third eye. I don't know. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe your pineal gland, before it gets completely calcified or whatever, sends you a shot of fucking juices. Maybe it's that Christos oil I talk about, that when your moon enters your sun sign, you have to abstain from sex. So the oil from the solar plexus shoots down to the root chakra and then back up to the pituitary gland, which brings it over the pineal gland, and it lights that bitch up like a fucking firework. And then, every month that you do that, you're going to have more and more clairaudience, clairsentience, all the clairs. You're going to have more intuition, you're going to have better everything, okay? And it's also connecting your minds as well. I know it's a different line because it's from back to front versus side to side, but, well, where do we see something like that? Well, there's a connection left and right. Well, that's male and female, right? Your minds, right? Well, and the back and the front is the two pituitary gland and the pineal gland, right? So that'd be your air and your water. Your air sign, right? It's the top. The water sign has to hit the air sign, and when you add air to water, boom, manifestation. You can use your third eye. And then when you have your two minds put together, at the same time as you have your pituitary and your pineal gland put together, well, there you go. Your whole fucking brain is on the same page. You have air, fire, earth, and water all working right in your brain. So there's no doubt in my mind that you will see spirits. Yeah, you got the whole pentagram there now, basically. So that would be the process. So maybe that's what happens. Maybe that happened to me. Because, I'm not going to lie, around that time, I don't think me and my wife were having sex that often. So the chances of me having sex during the time of my moon being in my sun sign, which at that point I didn't even know about that at all, so I couldn't even predict it. Now that I know about it, I find it hard because I see the days, and then it's like, I gotta abstain from sex, and just because the thought I have to abstain from it makes me want to have it. So now I have to pretend that there's different days, and this way I'll have sex on different days. But anyways, and that's a mind trick memory thing I gotta do. But anyways, I'll get into that maybe later. It's a good metaphor for a lot of different magics. But point is, it could be a culmination of things. But now I think of it, that could be one of the main reasons. Whenever your pituitary gland starts getting that up, because because there's a lot of things that could prevent that oil from going up there. Eating too much meat, too much drinking. Drugs, stuff like that, they say could cause it, but I haven't seen proof of those things. Now, the only thing I've seen proof of that can stop it is having sex within there. And if it's already shooting up, I don't know if, if there's a certain time. The point is, it's somewhere during those days, it has to go from the solar plexus down and then back up. So there's a good chance that whole first day is off limits. And then if you did it late on the second day, then you might still be okay, but I don't know. But that's a good chance that that's what happens if that process finally takes hold, maybe 2 or 3 months, and you're going just your regular life to all of a sudden, your fucking third eye's lit up. Well, there you go. There's a good reason why whenever you start finding fear-based media, you're actually going to look into it, And, the people that get in fear-based media without that, those are probably the people that get stuck there. And I'm never dissing them. Like I said, they provide a service, even though I'm 99% sure Alex Jones is a fraud. He provided a service, and it was a very good service at the time that he was providing it, because the stuff he said I believed and I went with. And I know now that the people he was condemning, he was working for, either that or he was just someone trying to create an independent media something, and was giving them hits and making them rich, one of the two. And that's why, it's all public debacles, because, they really wanted to shut him up, and he was a real truther. He wouldn't be able to be shut up, first of all. And second of all, he would be, it wouldn't have been so publicly done, but it was. So those are two telling signs. But nonetheless, the stuff he put out there about 9/11 woke a lot of people up. The people that had that process happen, whether it's that oil going to your two brain glands that I just talked about, whether it's a lack of programming or an expired program, or it was just somebody was in love for the first time, so they were just living in the present moment and all their regular habits and routines, because they were living in the present moment and feeling, and everything is possible in that time. whenever you're, that's why a lot of people say just be in the now, but it's so vague, no one knows what the fuck they mean. And I think it was Bruce Lipton, the only person I've ever gotten a really good explanation of what that means. He says, in that time, whenever you're, that's why a lot of people say just be in the now, but it's so vague, no one knows what the fuck they mean. And I think it was Bruce Lipton, the only person I've ever gotten a really good explanation of what that means. He says, being in the now, okay? He talks about if when you're in the now, all the possibilities are possible. It's the only time that you can probably do things without having to get things into your subconscious mind. But it's very hard to maintain, especially for long periods of time. But whenever first time you fall in love with somebody, you know, when you're in that new relationship where, you know, you have this work routine. But if it means going to see this girl you're crazy about, there's a good chance you're going to call in sick or get out of work. And then you have these other obligations. But if it means, you know, having to do something with her, then you might blow those off. And if you're the type that gets your hair cut only once a month, you don't really care, well, you're probably going to go buy some clothes. You might not be that kind of guy, and you need to shave and look really good, and then go pay for a restaurant that you would hate because it costs too much. But you're going to do all these things. You're going to change your whole being. You're not even the right guy. And a lot of people talk about this, not in occult things, how whenever two people meet on a date, they're meeting like a representative. They're meeting their best version of the person that they would like to be, what they're trying to push off that they are, but it's not really them. And that's a kind of in line with what Bruce Lipton's saying here, because yeah, these people are so in the now, so in love, they're not thinking at all with just their habitual mind, with all the programs running, because the programs that run, they're running like 90% of your day, something like that, and it's under 10% there, you're on your conscious mind, but I don't remember the figure, but I think it was like 5 to 95 or 6 to 94% of your day you're on your habits, and only 4 or 5 or 6% on your conscious mind, right? That's why if you can consciously understand something, that's great, but there's a very small chance you're going to get in your subconscious mind. But if you can be in that conscious state and actually be fully enveloped in it, and you know, and you stop, you're able, there's a force, that love force, okay? It's magnetic. It's pulling you to her and her to you. All right? That's something Greg talks about all the time, you know? The thought of being with her, and then that love feeling you have is literally pulling you to her and stopping you from doing all the other routine, day-to-day fucking habitual shit you would do. You know what I mean? Any other time, yeah, I could call in sick today, but I'll just go to work anyways. You know, you're not really going to do anything like that out of the norm, but well, you're in love. So yeah, 100%, you know, the same could be said about a different one. You know, if you got a sick child or something and you're very worried that, you know, it'd be fear, but same thing, that fear, it's still using your heart, and just in a different way, in a magnetic way at that, and it's going to make you stop everything you've got going on to do something else. And you know, he likes it. Bruce Lipton says, when you're present in the now and you're in that state of now, then all the possibilities are now all around you. So anything can happen, and that's why, you know, if you've ever went on a first date, that was amazing. You did all these cool different things, stuff you've never done before, and it was absolutely amazing. Things just kind of worked out as you went along, and even the things that didn't work out were okay because something else better happened. Whatever the case is, you know, that's what that kind of is both of you not caring about outside circumstances, not paying attention to your regular day-to-day crap. You're just focused on the other person because you're actually listening to them when they talk, and they're doing the same to you, and you got a connection there, and you guys can feel it, but you can't explain it. But as much as you can't explain it, you don't want to stop anything that you're doing. You don't want to depart. You know that, you know, if the opportunities dry up, then you might have to go home and, you know, wait a whole other day to see each other or something like that. So you keep getting it going, and you keep moving along, and just the sheer fact that you're not caring or thinking. You're not thinking in an anxious way, like, because when you're running your habits all day, well, part of the habit is, your thinking is always the same during that habit. Like, you do a thing and you think a thing, and you do the thing and you think a thing. It's circular, it's secular like that. It's kind of linear too in the same fashion. So as you're doing your job that you don't maybe like or whatever, it's a routine. You're having thoughts about how it's going to suck tomorrow because some different circumstance. And then when you get in tomorrow, sure enough, that shitty circumstance is there. So then you're doing it again. It's like, it sucks. I hope tomorrow is better. And then, okay, sure enough, tomorrow was better, but you're still doing it. So you're saying into being, well, when you're living in this present moment with the person that you're falling in love with, that you just started dating, you're not doing that. You're not anticipating. You're not worrying about the next step. You're not, unless you're on like a blind date and you're kind of nervous or whatever. You don't think the person likes you or something like that. It's a different situation. But like when I met my wife, that's how it was. I was actually doing weekends. And I remember asking one of the female guards a few questions about how I could impress her, because we hadn't seen each other much, and then I was going to see her shortly after I got released Friday morning, and I was really, and I don't like cops or guards, but so for me to do that was something. But that's all I thought about that after the first weekend I had after meeting my wife. It wasn't bad at all. And you'd say, what? You were locked in jail away from her? Yes, but all I did was think about what I could do with her. Whereas every other time I was locked up in there, all I could think about is how much this sucks and I need to go to sleep so I can just get the fuck out of here. And that didn't happen. I wasn't even there. I was laying down thinking about her, and I was thinking about all the things I could do to make her happy, make her smile, all the ways I could woo her, I guess, so to speak, and shit like that. So I know this is real whenever you have that feeling, when you have this magnetic pull to somebody. And when you're in that state, well, because you're not thinking about things are going to go bad or things are going to go this way or this is going to happen. None of those things happen. You're both just in the moment, not thinking. You're listening to each other speak. You're actually pushing away any other thoughts coming into your mind. You know what I mean? And it's very true. You might not even notice it, but you'll have a thought about something like, oh, fuck, your work. You probably call your work there and tell them that you're going to be late or calling sick now, and you'll just ignore it, push it away, and just keep smiling away, and it barely even bugs you. You know what I mean? So that was pretty cool, I thought. I forget how I got onto that topic, but I guess that had something to do with the subconscious mind. But the subconscious mind is the most powerful part of your body. But being the most powerful, it is the part that controls your rhythm, your habits. And habits are the bad thing. So in our community, magic community, like especially with me, I talk up the subconscious mind so much and talk down the conscious mind a little bit. But in the same sense, the subconscious mind is the one running the programs. Now, I try not to focus on the fact that it's making me run these programs that I have to do all this stuff I don't like to do. I usually focus on, the programming. Why is this programming done like this? Why are we have people oppressing us? Why are they programming us through the TV, this, that, and the other thing? And, that's probably how it plays a part, but I don't think that's completely it. And I'll tell you why. It's more Bruce Lipton stuff, I guess, but, he said the same thing. I'll play the clip after. It's a very small clip of him talking about, he doesn't say magic, but he literally says that, you can't have your conscious mind just know something and boom, you're done. You have to get it into your subconscious mind or else it won't do anything. He used the example of your subconscious mind doesn't let go of habits easy and for good reason. And he gives the example, when did you learn to walk? Probably around 2, before 2. And he's like, hopefully you haven't had to learn how to walk again. The only people that got in accidents, paraplegics, whatever, someone broke legs. It's more like rehabilitation and not relearning. But You know what I mean? So that's what he's saying. Saying, you know, if you get your mouth wired shut, you don't learn how to keep, you know, so you don't forget how to speak or write or, you know, walk. All these things. These things are inside you. You know, you learned them during that hypnotic stage of your life. After the hypnotic stage of your life from 0 to 7, it was through repetition, mostly of those things to reinforce them. So that's why those ones, the new ones you learn through repetition after the age of 7, I think are easierly broken or put away. Because I mean, I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could say, make magic to happen to forget how to walk, just for the hell of it if you're really bored. But I wouldn't suggest it, you know. But anyways, but what I thought of when I heard him say that was someone who was in a car accident and has amnesia, or my grandfather had Alzheimer's. And my grandfather, when he had his Alzheimer's, he couldn't drive anymore, but he would still drive from time to time. And, you know, he'd drive somewhere and, you know, when get there and something would happen where he wouldn't remember his own name or anybody else's names kind of thing. And, you know, but he was able to hop back in the car and drive away. He was walking, he was talking, he was writing, you know, not his name obviously, but he was able to write. So point is Alzheimer's, amnesia are these, you know, traumatic things that happen to people. One's a disease, one's from trauma, brain trauma basically. And you know, when they happen, you lose your conscious name, right? Your name was given to you consciously. Now, through repetition, and that's a hard one because, you know, your parents probably called you pet names or to a certain point, but no, they've been calling you that name. So you've been programmed kind of with that name, but you forget it, you lose it. It's because it's not the name of your subconscious mind. It's the name of your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind was able to make a distinction, right? Because what happens whenever you have amnesia, or, you know, Alzheimer's is a little more tricky, but, you know, it's almost like you have a brand new consciousness, because that old consciousness people are talking about to you is a whole other person. It's like, I don't remember this person at all. You know what I mean? So, it's very strange that way, that person could be inside you locked up somewhere, and now you have this other consciousness that you have no idea. Is this your subconscious mind? And I've often kind of asked myself, is that how it works? Is that person, until they get their memory back, working on like a primarily subconscious mind, and their conscious is locked up? I don't know. But the point is you could forget your name, you can forget memories, you can forget your family's names and all that, but you still don't forget how to walk, you still don't forget how to write, you still don't forget how to talk. Those things you learned before you learned your name. You didn't learn your name till later on. Your parents might have called you your name, but until you could say it. And that's the thing, it's words. Once again, this is the whole thing with why we make sigils and we don't just put words in our heads when we try to do magic. You're trying to get this baby who's just subconscious mind, who's being, you know, in a hypnotic state, because that's the brain wave she's in, the theta. It's, you know, that's where you got to get into for hypnotic, or where you begin anyways. And you know, how do you get them to walk? Well, you grab their hands and you walk behind them. How do you get them to eat food? Well, you take the spoon and you open your mouth wide, and that's one of the things Joe Dispenza on the same interview with Bruce and Greg does. It's like you show your kid how to do these things. You have to show them. And I've made this distinction many times with don't hit. What does that do? She just keeps hitting you. She doesn't understand the don't, because it's negative suggestion. More than that, you can't show someone how to not hit, because then you're just not moving, right? Or you got hitting bad. Well, that's a little bit better. Hitting it and saying it's bad, that's a little better, but that's frowned upon now. So what do you do? But so that's kind of the point. This is why your name can be lost whenever you have amnesia, because it probably doesn't get programmed in until later on. So these things in the first early years of your life are very important, and you don't lose them very easy. And that's why the subconscious mind is the way it is. So now that you know the subconscious mind is like that, out of sheer necessity, because it would be a nuisance to lose the ability to walk and write and talk, use your eyes, see, feel, all these things. It would be a nuisance if you had to relearn those every time, you got into a car accident, had some trauma, a little bit of amnesia. Oh, it's like a whole new reset. You know what I mean? Like, no. So that's the reason it's so hard. So now that we know that we're programmed like that, and that our mind is made like that just because kind of out of necessity. Well, first, if you're a parent, you should be very, very strict on what you allow into your house and your kids to watch this shit now. But more than that, it should open up a new light on, because, yeah, we got TV and it could be programming us and, do all these other things that, all these quote unquote evil people are doing. But are they doing it on purpose? Is it really their fault? Does everybody know we're this programmable? Because it seems like we're finding about it now. So that means they might have found out about it, maybe 10 years ago. Maybe they knew it all along. I don't know. If you look at some of these old occult books, they all say it in there. And they just never been mainstream. But unless you can prove and find those books in the houses of all the elites, you can't really prove that, right? And a lot of people like to think the rich are the elites and they're evil and all that, but I tend to think the opposite. I think that's a programming running from old Christian doctrine that we need to leave behind. All right, but anyway, so I'm going to leave that there, but I'm going to come back to that after and circle right back around to it. But anyways, so on top of the Alan Watts thing I was watching today, I also, while I was doing the dishes, re-listened to the interview Outwitting the Devil. And it was kind of cool because while I listened to that, I put a lot of things together with the Alan Watts thing. They kind of fit together. Where Alan Watts doesn't believe in, I don't think, the hell or the devil per se, but he does believe that you can have that or the equivalent of that here on Earth. I don't know. It's hard to know his beliefs. And that's one thing I like suggesting to people. I don't think I've ever said it on here, but like friends, instead of listening to specific spiritual people like in a path, if you listen to a witch, that's great. You're going to find out about witchcraft and all that. And, they're going to be biased to their religion. Same thing with ceremonial magicians, maybe. Depending if these people are depolarized and not so much, they're going to tell you the benefits. They're going to tell you the flaws like I would too and make your own decision kind of thing. But, best I like going to philosophers because the philosopher is kind of tearing down a wide variety of things and then giving you a bunch of different ways to remedy certain things. And none of them is like his way or anything like that. He's giving you everything he's ever studied and then a bunch of his conclusions, and their conclusions aren't conclusive. And the one answer they'll give you is that there is many answers and there's many mistakes and failures too you can do. So, but Outwitting the Devil, when I was listening to it today, it was acting as like a guideline, a meter stick, so to speak, because I will listen to that pretty often. I want to say every couple of months, I probably put it on at some point. It's on some of my episodes, and those episodes are on my phone, and it'll play in the car most of the time randomly, but it's funny how it picks that one. So I'll listen to it from time to time. And as the devil goes through all the things that, makes a slacker and how he's able to take over people's minds, because anybody with a strong mind who can think independently, positive thoughts and stuff like that, he can't control. And he says he controls 98% of people of the world, and God would be his opposite, control 2% of the world. And anybody who can think on their own, who isn't a quote-unquote drifter, and that's the word they use. And a drifter is just somebody who, doesn't have an aim, might be lazy, who, indulges in, sporadic, impulsive buying, and, stuff like that. Whereas the other one knows the importance of taking the time and writing and finding your passion and working towards a goal, having a goal and thinking for themselves and not being in fear and shit like that. So, last time I listened to it, there's quite a few things. It's like, okay, no, I'm not in any of those categories. And then there was a bunch of drifter categories I was in, as in like I'm still in the smoking one because I haven't quit that yet, which I was supposed to during my earth grade there, the grade of Zelter, but I quit other things, so we'll go back to it after and finish them up. But anyways, but yeah, smoking is on there, so I struck out on that one last time and on this time again. But as he was going along, I mean, the way my mind thinks now, and when he was describing the non-drifter, well, this time the non-drifter sounded a lot more like myself. A bunch of different characteristics, not all of them, but a lot of them were there. So if anybody hasn't listened to or read the book Outwitting the Devil, I suggest reading the whole book or listening to it. It's free on YouTube. Like I said, the first part of the book, there's 3 parts of Napoleon Hill's life, his life, where things were okay for him, and then he started getting negative thoughts coming into his head, and when he would act on them, things would go from bad to worse, and then something would happen and there would be a positive thought on there, and he'd be ready to act on it, and then he'd say, fuck it, it can't get any worse. He would act on it, and then his life got better. And then as it was good, then circumstances start happening, he'd start feeling a little fearful, and then those negative thoughts would crawl into his head, and then shit would go down because he would act on them, and then he gets back up again, even better than the first time, and then boom, witnesses a murder or almost gets murdered or something to that effect. I think he witnesses one, witness protection, so things are really bad at this point, and he manages to get out of that one again because of out of nowhere a thought comes into his head, and then after all that, he ends up having the interview with the devil, and then you come to find out, well, the devil controls the minds of weak men and women who are in fear. They use fear as a way to get into your mind. Now, he doesn't have complete control of you at that point, but he's in there, and he can give you the negative thoughts, shoot you all these negative thoughts. And, and if you have, the longer you have that fear in you, the more thoughts he can feed you. If you're able to change that to love, then he can't. If you no longer fear the devil, then you too can put him in submission and have this same meditative conference with him as Napoleon Hill did, apparently. But he gets people on there. He talks about how he gets people to take up bad habits, and then once they go into a hypnotic rhythm, is the word he uses, then they're basically the devils for life. So if you're doing something for so long, like going through a job, after the first 20 years, if you're still at that fucking job, then you're going to be there for life. And you're one of those people that are just, another number, you're going to retire and that's it. And you're going to be one of those people that are going to be scared and hope to go to heaven, because why else would you have to go to a job your entire life you don't want to go? There's got to be something better in the afterlife, and there isn't. There's just more of this shit. If you don't fucking get it right on this plane, you come back to this plane. So you might as well go for the gusto now. But anyways, I was using that as a meter stick, and I did very well on there today. And I think everybody should read that book. Frater X tells his people who watches Mystery School to read it. So yeah, you should totally read it. But yeah, the interview with the devil. The devil says God doesn't control the churches, and I was watching the Alan Watts thing, and he almost said something very similar, that the church, Christianity, priests, that no one believes in God anymore, that the church is a spin-off from the king's court. And I found that interesting. He was talking about how the kings back in the day, when they were in their courts, it was because somebody else was trying to run the kingdom or do something. So the churches are now set up as in these courts that the kings held their trials in, and the Protestant churches are the same way that the judicial system is in the United States. Like, I mean, even the priests wear the same black robes, so that's not a coincidence right there. But it's pretty crazy because the king would have his back to the wall, right? And then you have guards beside him, so like your priest is in front of you, and everybody else is below him and on their knees, kneeling down or sitting down, right? While the king would have the people either face down or on their knees, so they couldn't cause trouble, and you weren't allowed to laugh. And a lot of those rules still apply to today in church. So what is church really about? That's a question I'll let you answer. But Alan Watts was going off the premise that no one believes in God anymore, that church, it's set up like this. It's like trials, it's like court systems for a specific reason. And even in the church, the sermons are normally talking about how we have to have more faith. So they're acknowledging that we don't have enough or barely any faith anymore in the God, and there's a reason for that, because for too many years that this God's been going around telling everybody, well, not him, his followers, but all his followers that are saved, going around saying you guys are all wretched sinners, and you need to repent, and you need to go to our church to be saved, and if not, you're going to hell. And people don't like hearing that. How is that going to make anybody want to go to your church? It's a terrible thing to say, that your God thinks we're all this fucking bad. You don't know me. What if this person was somebody who donated money more than they have and took in foster kids and all that, and some Jehovah's Witness comes to the door and says, hey, here's the textbook from God, and this is how you're supposed to be, and if not, you're going to hell. It's, Alan Watts, he said he had an argument with fucking Jehovah's Witness the one time, and the Jehovah's Witness said, well, don't you think our Creator would give us a textbook on principles to live by? And Alan Watts says, no, a Creator wouldn't do anything of the kind. To do that would be absolutely detrimental to the human mind. We wouldn't be able to do anything. We wouldn't be able to think for ourselves. We would just go around hoping we're saved and fearing the devil and waiting to die to go to heaven. No, that would be the worst thing to do. I thought that was pretty interesting. I talked about the fake guru thing there. That was pretty funny. I have these little bullet point notes just so I remember what the fuck, so stay on topic today. Fake gurus can tell when someone wants to buy. Well, anyways, I'm not gonna go through that again. Okay, but the Bible and other Christians believe in directly disobeying the commandments. Oh, the Bible and other Christian beliefs are in direct disobeying the commandment, thou shalt not worship false gods, idols, or worship. Oh, okay, so I know what I was trying to say there now. What I was trying to say there was that there's a commandment that you should not bear false gods, you should not worship any false gods. But the Bible is idol worship. Anybody worshiping the Bible and those beliefs is doing idol worship. Alan Watts said that that's believing in the Bible or someone else's belief systems is worse than, worshiping a fucking tree or a fucking cow that, Moses told everybody to break and then kill themselves to purify the land. He even goes so far and says that they should be ritually burning the fucking Bible every Easter. We don't need it anymore. We know what's in it. We know the spirit of it. Why do we need these fucking books? Why do we need them? Well, it's because that's where egregores have to stay. Yeah, if you want a bunch of fucking God, devil, egregores and everybody in that book, you need to keep that book around. You need to put as many out as you possibly can. I don't have one in my house. If I do, it's getting gone. But anyways, so it's more dangerous to worship beliefs, ideals, the Bible, the priest. The only way to find God is to not believe in anyone or any religion's version of God, to find your own God or idea of faith. Our Creator would never give us a book on how to believe in Him, it would destroy our mind and not allow us to think for ourselves. And our mind, in the interview with the devil, the devil uses fear to control people, or to at least get into your mind to start being able to feed them ideas, okay? And by having people in fear, they don't think, and they don't think, and they're not a critical thinker or someone using positive thoughts. So if the Bible stops us from thinking for ourselves, then by definition, the Bible is the tool of the devil, not of God. Once someone's fear, someone fears the devil and believes the Christian doctrine, and they're saved, and all others are damned. Keep Christians from thinking and just work till they die, basically, where they go to heaven, and those who enjoy life to do their passion and share their purpose with others and receive material wealth are going to hell, basically. The Bible actually got retranslated to "the poor go to heaven." Well, that's paraphrasing, and the rich go to hell. I think it's more like it's easier for a camel to get through the hole of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven, was the line. But that was retranslated or edited, and yeah. And that wasn't the first translation. So not only are they fearful of the devil, so they follow the Bible out of fear of hell, so they can be saved, but in the same book they are feared that they fear that they fear into believing. Sorry guys, I'm tired. That they fear into believing. Also tells them to shun money, and money is the root of evil, which is another mistranslation from root of all money. Meaning, if you money is the love of money is the root of all evil, is the real translation there. Which basically means if you love what you're doing, if you love money more than what you do for that money, then you're gonna have hard times. Then you're gonna get yourself into that hypnotic rhythm that the devil and outwitted the devil talks about, and you're gonna be stuck at that job forever. You're not even gonna try to use your brain to think, to find your passion, to try to find a new job, go back to school. None of that. You're just going to stay there out of fear, out of habit, and just piss your life away. So yeah, if you find your passion and purpose, then money's gonna come, whatever you want's gonna come, just out of the sake of doing it. It goes back to that falling in love thing. When you start doing something that you're in love with, such as something that makes you, you're passionate about. It's the same way as whenever you fell in love with that girl. You woke up happy in the morning to do whatever you want to do, and you're excited, and you stop doing your habitual bullshit, and you're just living in the now and going on pure instinct and what can I do today, or how am I going to make this better, and whatever the case is. So you're tapping into that unconscious fucking field of potentiality where those ideas are just going to come flying at you, all the good ones. Whereas when you're in the habit one, well, if it is actually controlled by quote unquote this devil force, then you're probably only going to get shitty things coming to you. So, but yeah, so that would be the difference between the root of love of money, and is the root of all evil, or money is the root of all evil. It's a pretty shitty translation there. But they did it anyways. And, it just makes you unbalanced is all. If you're going to work every day, it means you don't really love yourself. You're like saying you love money more than yourself. And you can say, well, no, but I need that money to pay for all the stuff I have that I accumulated. Yeah, but you accumulated all that stuff because, impulsive, because you were programmed that you were supposed to have a house and a car. And then whenever you were old enough, like 19 or 16, you got a cell phone bill and maybe you didn't pay it. And yeah, it's in somewhere else you got to keep paying for. And, you got trapped and locked up into this bunch of crap. So yeah, they get that fear going early. They get you so much debt, send you to school, whatever the case is, and then you got to work a job. Instead of using your mind to maybe create something good, you got to end up fucking working a job just to pay off your debts. And that's the thing I know about debts, and it's the same thing that's not going to be very nice to tell you, but the same thing that helps me, that debt's always going to be there. And if you can just change your perception on it, and instead of thinking about it as debt and just think about it as that's just it's living expenses. Some people get paid, some people get paid on time, some people don't. They're all going to get their money. They're just not always going to get it when they want it, and that's okay. I don't need their extra brownie points. What the fuck is it if I miss a couple months payments and I'm behind? I'll get caught up eventually, and it is what it is. It doesn't matter. And the stress on it and worry about your debt and use that as an excuse to not try to do your passion, which if you got something going with your passion, you maybe had potential to make a lot of money, well, you clear up your debt a lot fucking faster. But because people are so impulsive, they can't even sit down long enough to have the thought of what their purpose is, what their passion may be. They can't sit down long enough to work out the minute details of how to get that started potentially and all that. But if they just started it, things would just roll out in front of them, because this is how that positive thought comes to you. When you identify something that you're going to love to do, and you just start doing it, instead of trying to rationalize it in your head with your conscious mind over and over and over again, if you just start it, things will work out for you, because that's whenever you're tapping in to that creative force. Okay, whenever you're sitting at home dwelling on your problems, you're tapped into that devil force. And like I said, I don't believe in the devil per se, but the negative thoughts that are coming at you because you're talking about something negative. You're thinking about something negative. You have negative feelings inside of you. Like attracts like. It's pretty simple. But whenever you're in that creative mode, that loving mode, like when you met your love of your life, or whenever you found something that you love doing that makes you happy to wake up in the morning, those two things right there, you are not in that mode anymore, and all you get is beautiful, empowering ideas. Creative, if you're in a creative sense, loving in a loving sense. Well, like I said, when I met my wife, I was asking tips on how to woo her to a fucking prison guard on my overnights. And that first prison, that night in jail, it flew by, because that's all I could do was think on how I can make like a perfect date and all these different things like that. Because that's all I was, you know what I mean? That's all I was thinking about. I wasn't even at the jail, like I said. But all I was getting was creative thoughts, because are romantically creative thoughts, basically, on how to, So my mind gave me positive thoughts about what I needed, what I was thinking about. So this is as close as we get to being able to choose our thoughts. We can kind of choose what the guidelines are. But what comes in after that, it's like, because like the way I asked her, like, what would you like if a guy was trying to woo you or something like that, try to impress you? You know what I mean? And then it allowed the thoughts to come from whatever source came through her head to give me those ideas, because I gave her the context, so the thoughts came through on that context. And then once I said that word out loud, I also got ideas at the same time. But all I had to do was ask the question, and because it was a positive question, it was a question trying to make someone else's life better, happier, trying to think of someone other than myself. You know, I was on the positive, creative side, not the negative, debt, everything sucks side. Just something to keep in mind. And not only that, but I think it's an important thing to mention that the devil and other studies have shown that, and I'm pretty sure maybe not all, but the people in the world that have succeeded the most, a lot of the rich and wealthy, and I know this doesn't play well into Illuminati concepts and the queens and all that shit, but maybe just not the queen, we'll talk about just like the businessmen that make a lot of money or inventors and shit like that. Well, it was through following their passion that they did that. People can call them rich fucks all they want and be mad at them and jealous at them, but that's the furthest thing from the truth, because like I've said before, if these people have 9 million in the bank and they give $1 million away, and you say, well, fuck, and they had 9 million, so yeah, they can afford it. Well, okay, you've got what, 200 in the bank? Can you give up $20? Yeah, but you're not going to do it, right? It's the same concept, just different fucking amounts, that's all. But anyways, I think I made the point with that point. Bible is false. The Bible is a false god, and all should stop worshiping it. The Bible is a false god, and everyone should stop worshiping it. That's my statement. That's my statement. That's what I'm saying. You know, like all stories, true or false, old or new, copies or original, with esoteric knowledge or connection with subconscious mind or spirit or divine, will teach you the moral of all stories. It doesn't whether it's the Bible, whether it's TV shows, doesn't matter. You can get that from anything. So the Bible, I'm not saying the Bible is useless or anything like that. There's a lot of use because there's a lot of power put into that book. Because I think there's egregores in there, plus everybody reading it, believing in it, feeding those egregores, whatever the case is. When you use that book, you can potentially use those egregores or spirits or psalms or whatever, and use them to your benefit. So it's definitely a powerful book, but it's misused as well. All right. Subconscious mind is habit. So yeah, that's what I was trying to get out. I wanted to talk about a bit. The contradictions and all that with the Bible, and how, people trying to find God is from a different location, from a church, from somebody else. They're going to get taken advantage of by gurus, whatever. That's going to happen, but and hopefully not, because then that might make them run back to, fear. But I guess the moral of the story, today, people, is that if you're in this path, all right, when you have fear, you have to experience it. You have to go through it. But the job is to eventually realize that you no longer keep those fears. Now, I've talked about it many times. My Dark Nights of the Souls, both times, was conquering fear. 2 separate fears. One first time of getting over spirits, and then the second time was getting over because, like I said, I was in New Age, and then I started, before New Age, all the fear-based media I took in. Now, when I hit the New Age, I kind of pulled away from it, stopped watching it, and then I got to a point of now where it's kind of like, well, I didn't really believe in all that fear-based stuff anymore, even though I haven't revisited any of it. But so in a way, I had to go back and get rid of all that I watched that was fear-based media. And it's not to say that, the chemtrails may not be real, and that, all the bad things going on, the vaccines, the chemtrails, flat earth, Illuminati's, the governments, whatever, suppressing all this knowledge and wanting to kill us, all this other shit, depopulation agenda, the New World Order, all that shit. Not to say that any of those things aren't real things, aren't real conspiracies or anything like that, but I don't want them in my mind. I don't want those programs in my mind whatsoever to play out. Because if that gets put into my mind, because I'm watching that shit over and over again, then I'm one person. I add my power to how many other people out there. Because even if it's in my mind, unless I focus on it, I don't think there's going to be much power to it. But, what if that day something happens and it's bombarded everywhere? And then that just takes that one day where some big event happened and everybody who, like me, has a programming in line with that stuff watches what's being put on the media that day, and then boom, I actually put my energy into what they wanted, and they get their manifestation because of that. And no one, and I mean no one, is going to use my mind power for their ends unless it's my family. But that's the moral of the story, is that those things might be happening, but I'm not programming myself with those anymore. I'm removing all those out of me so that they can't happen to me. It's like the ultimate protection. How do you not get affected by all those things I just mentioned? Well, you create your own programming. Inside your programming, it's impossible for you to be affected by those things. And then you won't be. But I guess the thing I want to get at is but I would say you don't want to be in any kind of fear state for longer than you have to be, because any fear state you're in, with any kind of programming that you might have or any thoughts that you have, you're going to manifest and create. And you don't want that to happen. And like I said, if you go by the Napoleon Hill info and you add it to what Alan Watts is saying, and any other person, there's been a lot of people that said this, and I've had them on here. But when you're in the fear emotion, you're only going to get ideas of lack, of jealousy, of hate, of envy. You're only going to get the bad things coming to you. And when you're in the other one, the love, you're going to get the creativity. You're going to get, honesty. You're going to get joy. You're going to get all the good emotions, all the good things that come with those. And, creativity could be the one that you need to find your passion, because you're going to need to create something that's going to lead you to somewhere. It doesn't have to be like taking a hammer and nails out and realizing that you're a skilled craftsman, or taking a pen and paper out and making pictures, although it could be. But it could be maybe you can be a writer. Maybe you should have a daycare. Maybe you should be teaching something to somebody. Maybe you're really good at yoga and you should have a yoga class. Maybe you can open up your own store. Maybe. It doesn't matter. And it's not like I'm saying that your purpose or passion is going to get you millions and you're going to be part of the rich 1%. But you can undoubtedly do a job, create your own job, create your own circumstances, or find something out there that you would enjoy doing, so that you're not wasting your life away for a job, for money, just to pay your fucking bills. You can go do something and actually have a profound feeling, profound effect, and something that you cherish and you enjoy doing, that makes you happy. And along with that, when you start that process, it snowballs in the right direction. It gets bigger from there. Because if you, say, run a successful yoga studio, and it's only you can only have 10 people there to sign up, but it's enough to keep covering your bills. Well, eventually that'll get bigger and bigger, where you might have to get a bigger place. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, well, maybe now you need 2 places, 2 ends of towns. or maybe you can expand, or maybe a corporation sees it, gives you a cut, they want your name, who knows. But point is, when you start, it's going to get bigger. It's going to keep snowballing bigger. Likewise, the other direction, it's a downward spiral. That's why you don't want to go to the downward spiral. You want to go to the upward spiral. So I'm not saying to stay in love all the time, because that's just unattainable. But what you can do is, when you're in that state, figure out why you're in the fear state and realize that there's really nothing to fucking fear, and get over it. I had to. Like I said, the first one was spirits I had to get over. Second one was the job thing. Realizing that I'm not actually a slave. You know, the fact that maybe we had to pay back some karmic slave debt from, you know, way back when. And I paid that off, and now I'm no longer doing that. Now I'm doing it for me to amp up my magical game, because I mean, I was doing magic at work the other day. I was fucking doing a bunch of emotional transmutation, and a lot of banished projecting eyes, and I even made a sigil. But you know, if you took last episode, I gave an idea for the bumper stickers, sigil bumper stickers. Making sigils and put them on bumpers and fucking letting everybody see it. Their fear, emotion, or whatever into your sigil. People might be in a good mood. Everybody's going to be in kind of a trance when they're driving. So, you know, you're going to get your manifestation pretty quick depending on what it is. And hopefully you have a harm-free statement in there, because it's going to be driving on the road. So, but anyways, but if you took that concept, you know, you could blow that up. It could end up being fucking going to t-shirts, and then going to fucking hats, and then, you know, you could have this whole sigil fucking brand name be called sigil. You know what I mean? It'd be cool. And yeah, and that should be your upward spiral. So this is not something about finding your passion. This is just about the fact that both the devil from Outwitting the Devil and Alan Watts are saying very similar things, because the devil goes into how, you know, when he'll get kids when they're young, and the teachers help his cause by putting the fear of the devil into them, so they fear the devil. So they both have, and that's the thing, like, that's why I last time I said it, but I didn't make the distinction, but I said they got two positive energies there. I said pick one, the fire or the air. And what I was talking about there was, I mean, you can assign either one. God could be fire, because he came as fire, a bush of fire that one time. But he could be air, because he's normally seen in the sky, whereas the devil is normally in the fire. So, but they have two male, projective, positive things there. Both one. The air one's not as bad as the fire one. The fire one is more, you know, listen to me, or, you know, I'm going to give you bad thoughts and shit like that. And the other one is kind of like, well, I'll smite you, but if you don't piss me off, I'll give you what you want. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a fucked up imbalance there, because you kind of have to fear both of them. And if you're fearing both of them, then that makes them the same, does it not? If you have to fear God and you also fear the devil, well, then how is God better than the devil? Like, because, well, the fear is not as bad, because we know God can do good, but, well, everybody's a sinner. You guys say it all the time. So when you're a sinner, God's hating on you, bud. So how does that logic fucking work? I'm kind of just rambling on and on and on here. But yeah, I hope it was helpful. I'm going to change the topics there in a second. I just need a moment to wet my throat. It's pretty dry. It's hard to speak right now. But yeah, I'll be right back.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm the ceremonial witch driving my fucking car. This is illegal. But anyways, if you're just tuning in, or this is on Instagram, wherever the fuck you're seeing this, YouTube, or if this is part of my speaker shit, if you're wondering what the fuck ceremonial witchcraft's about, well, basically I take the fields of magics and witchcrafts and how to do rituals and sigil magic and candle magic and all these different things, psychology, reprogramming your mind, new age, all this shit. And I dive into it. I give you correspondences that you can actually understand. I don't hold the keys to your fucking enlightenment for ransom. I give this shit out for free. I tell you how I was able to get 10 grand, be a stay-at-home dad, have 2 cars in a house. That's what I talk about. So tune in to my shit on Spreaker, Ceremonial Witchcraft. I also have some another one that's called Magic on a Budget that I have only made, I don't know, about 20 episodes for. But the other one I got about 100. So tune into that shit if you're interested in this shit, because it'll blow your fucking mind with how normal I make this shit sound and how easy it is to understand and do. However, that being said, this shit does take time and practice. And if you're just gonna fucking be what's the word? If you're just going to be spontaneous or, I can't think of the word, ADHD-like, being very, it starts with an I can't think of the word. But, if you're not going to stick to it, then don't bother. Don't fucking bother. Because you do have to show some dedication. Because as much as I can normalize this shit, there is something there that you have to be grateful and respectful to. You don't have to worship shit. Not like Jesus and God where you have to worship them and ask them to save you. There's none of that bullshit. None of that at all. And I believe in a lot of different deities and gods and spirits and planetary energies, but I don't worship shit. So anyways, a little intro for you. Check out my shit and fucking be able to do whatever the fuck you want. Anyways, have a good day. Impulsive. That was the fucking I word I was looking for. Cocksucker. Hey, what's going on? So yeah, that's what I do. Hypnosis, astrology, tarot. I dive into those things. Ritual, symbolic work, self-transformation is the curriculum I use, and I use different rituals from different witchcrafts as well. But I break these down in ways you can understand with different correspondences that are pretty simple that I use myself. And by doing these things, by taking the amount of time and applying yourself, you can easily change your programming, which is just your belief systems and shit that have been inserted in you. Impulsive. That was the fucking I word I was looking for. Cocksucker. Hey, what's going on? So yeah, that's what I do. Hypnosis, astrology, tarot. I dive into those things. Ritual, symbolic work, self-transformation is the curriculum I use, and I use different rituals from different witchcrafts as well. But I break these down in ways you can understand with different correspondences that are pretty simple that I use myself. And by doing these things, by taking the amount of time and applying yourself, you can easily change your programming, which is just your belief systems and shit that have been inserted in you. Identify those and remove the ones you don't want. But, yeah, this is what I teach. This is what I do. And it's all in speaking from when I first started. When I talk super low, you can barely hear me, but there's good information there. To now, where I have a good headset, you can actually hear me. So it's very valuable information. It's holy information. It's spirituality.
Hey, sorry, I kept doing the math, but the 10,000 I said, after reducing from the square root of 100,000, that's for a billion. So it'd actually be 70,000 for 7 billion.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
700,000.
I don't know if you can tell, but there's no sunroof today, so that means I'm in the car. My wife's car. 700,000.
After her bankruptcy, this is how she started making her credit back, like I've already spoken about. Anyways, hey, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I don't know if you can tell, but there's no sunroof today, so that means I'm in the car, my wife's car.
She manifested. Well, no, I manifested the second vehicle, but after her bankruptcy, this is how she started making her credit back, like I've already spoken about. Anyways, hey, what's up? I put a couple videos on Instagram and YouTube yesterday. A couple people liked them, and my show fucking had like 200 fucking between downloads and views and shit. So I'm not picking my nose. I got dirt in it from work. But anyways, yeah. So it did pretty well. I don't know if it helped or not, but I hope so. But yeah. I just want to reiterate, I don't do this for fans. I don't do this for popularity. I'm not trying to become a fucking star or anything like that. I do this because I believe everybody needs help. The Divine Matrix by Greg Braden is something we should check out, part 1 and part 2. In part 2, he talks about how they did experiments in the 80s, I want to say, but I'm not positive if that's the time frame. But when they did the experiment, they actually figured out what percentage of the population of a city would need to pray the right way, which means, using magic, being grateful, and acting as if the shit has already happened for you. That's how you get shit to happen. How much of the population would that need to happen? How much of the population would need to do that for something to change, like either have peace or get rain or something like that? And it was the square root of 1%, which works out if you got 1 million people, well, 1% is 10,000, I want to say, and then the square root of that is 100 people in a population of somewhere of 1 million people. It only takes 100 people to do the right way of praying, the right magic to change something. So you put that in perspective with the 7 billion people we have on the fucking planet, all right? Which is probably why you hear a lot about 144,000 light workers and all that shit. But put that in perspective with 7 billion, if 1 million is 10,000, well then 1 billion would be 100,000. So for 7 billion, it would be 700,000, all right? So the square root, if 10,000 reduces to 100 people, well then 100,000 would reduce to, 100,000 would reduce to 10,000 people roughly. I want to say, check my math because I can't do it right now. But anyways, if that's correct, it would only take 10,000 people praying the right way to do or to make change, right? If these 10,000 people were, in line doing the same shit. That's probably the problem. We all don't want the same things, which is, I'm not trying to sell people we should all do the same thing, change the world, but it only takes that many amount of people to change whatever you want, or to bring something into being. You want a new governmental system, you want a new fucking world, whatever you want. It would take that many people to change the world. But even so, just taking that to your city level, or to your town or your country level, it's pretty profound if that math is actually correct. It doesn't take much people doing good to bring good out. That's where, people like to talk about how much evil there is in the world. And, I guess, depending on your perspective, there probably is a lot of evil in the world. But we do have the upper hand. And when I say the Tiptronic fucking standard mode. So 700,000 would be what we need to. 700,000 would be the 1% of 7 billion. And this is my math. I could be absolutely fucking wrong, because I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, so it would be 70,000 is what I would say, and going by that. Because we're almost 7 billion or over 7 billion, whatever it is. So let's say, it's 77,000 would actually be closer to the real fucking number. It doesn't matter. If you take 70,000 and you times that by 2, what do you get? 140 fucking thousand. And what did I just say about the 144 fucking thousand light workers? And they're talking about prophecy and fucking Bible, and it's only Jewish people, this and that, and blah, 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 blah. But it's basically double, right? So just to make sure, what's going on, everybody? I don't know if you can tell, but there's no sunroof today. So that means I'm in the car. My wife's found. She manifested. I manifested. It doesn't take much people doing good to bring good out. That's where, people like to talk about how much evil there is in the world. And, I guess, depending on your perspective, there probably is a lot of evil in the world. But we do have the upper hand. And when I say we, I mean good. And I'm not necessarily good or bad. I'm just saying the good side almost has leverage. It's yes, there's a lot of bad in the world, and it's because people don't know the right way to do certain or specific things, or they think what's right isn't actually right, whatever the case may be. But we got the advantage because it doesn't take many people doing, praying, whatever, using magic to change the world. It wouldn't take much to actually bring forth a profound, huge change. But even so, that's not my goal either. I mean, maybe long term that would be my goal, but I don't know, for me to try to fucking tell you what the fuck. For me to try, sorry, I thought I wasn't recording. For me to try to tell you what we should do as a collective, or what kind of spell, or how the world should go, that's not my fucking call. It's all of our call. It's all of our world. And that's why I believe it starts with your personal world. Start doing your own transformation and or start manifesting shit into your life, you know. You're going to start manifesting things, bringing things, you know, to you, banishing bad habits or whatever that you think you don't need. And 9 times out of 10, especially with the material crap, once you get it, it doesn't fulfill you. You realize all that money doesn't make you happy. You know, sometimes even when you get a certain job, it doesn't completely fulfill you. You know, so what ends up happening is that you end up finding out that there's more to this. The deeper you get in the transformation, and you start meditating more and shit like that, I mean, it's amazing the changes you can do and the things you can do, and the way you look at the world. But anyways, that's my goal, is for everybody to change personally before we can even talk about changing, you know, country, city, province, state, you know, fucking world. You know, people trying to change the world when they can't even help their fucking selves, that's just idiotic. That's just stupidity. You know what I mean? There's no reason for that. There shouldn't be that, you know. It's okay to want to change the world, to think there's something wrong and want to change it. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you do have to identify the problems and then work at it, but if you can't get your kids to fucking listen, how the fuck are you going to get a population to fucking get on the same fucking page? You know what I mean? If you don't get along with your boss at work, how the fuck are you going to get along with fucking politicians or become one? Like, it just doesn't work that way. You know, you work on yourself first, and from there, you work on, you know, you go bigger from there. You work on your family, you work on your relatives, your kids, whatever. Go bigger and bigger and bigger, and you know. But once again, you gotta stop thinking that you have the only right way, or you know. That's why we do the personal introspection shit. That's why we do the fucking self-transformation shit. That's why we become depolarized. Because, you know, being depolarized means, you know, not at the will of fucking media and shit like that, you know. Because if it only takes square root of 1% of the population to change, well, that puts a whole new perspective on why the media is continuously showing us bad shit. And why there's so many people out there trying to tell you that the world is ending. It's a whole new perspective on that, because they don't want enough people thinking they can actually help themselves, because it wouldn't take much to change the world. Anyways, have a great fucking day. Vehicle, but after her bankruptcy, this is how she started making her credit back, like I've already spoken about. Anyways, hey, what's up? I put a couple videos on Instagram and YouTube yesterday. People like them. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know where I'm trying to go with that. I just thought it was funny, because when I was trying to listen to the video, I'm like, whoa, I fucked up the math on that. If you take 7,000 would be the square root of a... Hey, sorry, I kept doing the math, but the 10,000 I said, after reducing from the square root of 100,000, that's for a billion. So it would actually be 70,000 for 7 billion. Would be, because it would be 700,000 would be the number. Whenever you take 1% of 7 billion, it would be 700,000. Sorry about that. I had to shift the car. The Tiptronic fucking standard mode. So 700,000 would be what we need to. 700,000 would be the 1% of 7 billion. And this is my math. I could be absolutely fucking wrong, because, you know, I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, so that would be 70,000 is what I would say. And going by that, you know, because we're almost 7 billion or over 7 billion, whatever it is. So let's say, you know, it's 77,000 would actually be closer to the real fucking number. It doesn't matter. If you take 70,000 and you times that by 2, what do you get? 140 fucking thousand. And what did I just say about the 144 fucking thousand light workers? And they're talking about prophecy and fucking Bible, and it's only Jewish people, this and that, and blah, 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 blah. But it's basically double, right? So just to make sure, you know, because they don't want to just think, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know where I'm trying to go with that. I just thought it was funny, because when I was trying to listen to the video, I'm like, whoa, I fucked up the math on that. I had to times that by fucking the 7, because, you know, I did the billion to make it more simple math. and then I forgot the times it by 7. But anyway, so point is, if it would be 70,000 people would be the square root of 1%. That's how many people it would take to change the world. And if you double that, it gives you that 144 you hear so much about, or the 140 anyways. And, 144 is probably a little more accurate. It's a nice number. Blah 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 blah. 12 times 12. But anyways, that's all. Have a good day.
Everybody fucking do this shit. It's a piss off.
I'm getting right.
No.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Ceremonial Witch coming to you from Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. What's going on? Recently set up a few things, such as a website for Ceremonial Witchcraft, and that was just to attempt to put books on there, my PDFs on there, which I probably would have gotten shit for if I did actually do what the Google fucking thing I used to make the website didn't really allow me to do that. So I put pictures of the books on there. So if anybody actually from watching me on Spreaker or YouTube or anything like that actually wants one of the books I recommended or any of the other ones from the pictures I put on there, yeah, let me know. Send me an email and I'll fucking send it to you, or figure out a way to get it to you, whichever way. I mean, they're pretty easy to find because I found them all myself. But if you want to take the guesswork out, let me know. So yeah, that's, I have a picture on there that says I have, I think, 891, I don't know, 800 and something. That's a screenshot from my phone. So if there's a book that I didn't recommend that you want, that you don't see the picture on there, ask me, and there's a good chance I have it if it's occult, hypnosis, witchcraft, magic, Galatia, Enochian, along those lines. Let me know. I don't know how long I can put this. I'm going to try to put this on the Google website, if not just on YouTube. But it's for anybody who doesn't know what I look like and wants to see me. So I've been talking about manifesting stuff and tell people I had a house and 2 cars and I'm not currently working, and that's true. My wife and 2 daughters just went to the park. One boy's inside, the other boy's at his buddy's house. I left my phone in the car. I told everybody I was going to put a movie out on this Thursday about the Jupiter system, or the book Financial Sorcery that I have. If you want, like I said, ask for it and I'll give it to you. And I was going to, it was all set. My son's graduation from grade 8 going into grade 9 was that day, so I got busy, but my phone crapped out on me. It's all fucked right up. If I put it in the car, the Bluetooth, or just through the USB cable, I can actually use it to play songs and call people, but because the screen's fucked, so I can't actually do anything with it. So anyways, I'm using a laptop right now, and I'm going to be doing my first episode using a laptop and the speaker app, sorry about that, on my laptop to record tonight. So yeah, I actually had to go out and buy a fucking a little recording device there. Yeah, look at this, 25 fucking bucks for this. It's got a USB drive and all that. It's luckily I was able to upload all my current recordings and shit like that onto that, and the ones I use at night to go to sleep to. Because they're all on the laptop, but I got Bluetooth headphones too, but my wife doesn't like it that much when I wear the headphones to bed, period. If I have a laptop now beside me in the bed or whatever, she's gonna get kind of fucking pissed. Sorry, I'm a smoker. I'm sure you guys heard the lighter in the background before, but anyways, so my site's pretty shitty. There's not much information on there. It's just a bunch of dumb shit and whatever, pictures of fucking random shit. I don't know. But it will get better. I'm not trying to get people to go there. If anything, just hit the Google or the Spreaker or the YouTube for my Gmail fucking email address and just send me a message and ask me what's up. But anyways, I am going to try to put that on there. And the other reason for the video, I don't like doing videos because I said before that In the past, I tried doing videos for YouTube, and I got too fucked up looking at myself. Now that I'm a little more depolarized, I don't care so much about my looks, but I'm very Venusian and very Taurus, Venus, dominate my chart. So I like looking good. I like working out a lot, or used to anyway. So I always have to do my hair myself. I don't trust people with my hair, shit like that. So that fucked me up. So I like people hearing what I have to say without my face being in the way, like, look at this fucking idiot, or you know what I mean? And not only that, it's a distraction to me. I end up putting up a bunch of random dumb shit. Anyway, we're going to walk around for a second here. As you see behind me, there's my pool and my trampoline. Stop sign of a busy road there, car going by. And we're going around, and now I'm facing east, so you can see the sun setting. That's west. Obviously behind me is west. And the computer screen is in the east right now. When I turn around, I'm looking at the north, which would be the next step if you're doing lesser banishing. There's my neighbor's fence, who's actually attached to me. Right there's my garage, there's my neighbor's house, and that's my house. The closing line in the background. And there's my one vehicle right there, my Dodge Journey. That's the one that's in my name. And we're going to go back that way for a second. And there, I'm just facing the other way. There's my neighbors across the road, blah, blah, blah. My big fucking tree I love to sit under. And yeah, the point of this is simply just to tell people how to manifest what I did. Show my first manifestation. Like this car, sorry, that first car is not my first manifestation. But the second one I got, this one right there behind me, that's my second vehicle right there. That's the second one I got. This is the house I got. So, all that being said, sorry, I thought the fucking recording stopped. I was like, what the fuck? I did all that for nothing? Shit. But anyways, yeah, we're going to record on this, and I'm going to plug it in and put it on there. If you haven't figured it out, now that's what I do. I record shit prior, and then I upload it to make sure, because, you know, I'm not rich, so I can't really just use the data to do my shows. And if my Wi-Fi craps out because there's so many kids I live with, I have so many kids, if they fucking, I don't know, anyways, the Wi-Fi craps out, it goes on my data, and I don't need any more charges. We always run out of our data before the end of the month. Now we got a fucking big package and shit too. But anyways, what the fuck am I talking about that shit for? Oh, here, sorry, there's my dog. That's Mia. Mia. Hey Mia, good girl. Anyways, yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Like I said, reach out if you want a fucking book or something like that. I might even try to record the books and put them on there. I don't know if I can get away with that, so you can just listen to it. Like I said, more occult shit you can take in. Just doing your day-to-day shit, it'll get into your brain. It's the way the TV tricks you, you know. You get in a little trance, relaxed state. You can't get into trance or meditate or do magic unless you're relaxed. What does TV do? It relaxes you. You go to sleep and you fall asleep with the fucking TV on. That shit's not by fucking mistake. But anyways, have a good one. Peace. Ceremonial witch. Bitch. Fuck, I look stupid when I do that. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ceremonial witch here again, Corey LeBlanc. Chilling my yard again. There's 2 out of the 4 kids in the background. My baby is just over here. There she is, playing with this little hammock / cabin thing I built her. I was supposed to put on a recording on speaker yesterday. I made a little video showing my house and my cars in the same rear yard. Here I am right now. I've been smoking. And I haven't gotten a little bit of a fight with the wife, always. That happens. I mean, I'm not saying I'm right and she's wrong. There is no right and wrong. Hey, look, you're there, look. Look, please, what? There you are, there's Cece. That's Sienna LeBlanc right there, yeah. Anyways, I've given up trying to tell her this stuff and all that, because I accept her. I'm the one that changed and all that, and, you know, she's fearful that, I'm not gonna work, and you know, I'm manifesting the money that we need to pay my half of the bills, and she's working for her money, half the bills. She's still always in fear and anxiety of that not happening, or me not being real and all that. You know? She loves it when the money comes in, spend it, and then when it's before a bill, you know, even though it's not too late yet, before I actually manifest it. I see it, I'm watching you, I can see you right on the screen. The camera's on. Anyways, I always get the money in before the bill. Something always happens, you know? So there's no need to worry, and I was in the past always trying to
have anxiety and stress about stuff that hasn't happened yet. Because by putting that fear into that visualization and thought in your head, then you're creating that to happen. No, not yet, baby. He still has another minute and a half. Taking turns using the hose. Owen, don't go so intense, man. Come on. She's gonna. She always. If she's putting her visualization and she's putting her energy, the fear, emotion behind it. And there's only two emotions that all the other ones derive from. There's the love and there's fear. Hate, jealousy, greed. All comes from fear and love, creativity, harmony, joy, balance. Well, not balance, but that all comes from love. Thank you for the baba, baby. And magic. Everybody's doing magic. Actually, everybody's manifesting what they want. They just put emotion into things that they don't want, and that's how their brain works, and it manifests for them. That's simple, basic psychology and how your brain works. And some people say that'd be the difference for magic, and I think the definition of magic is, not stage performing illusionism, but magic is whenever you deliberately do this. You deliberately take your mind back. You deliberately put what you want in your mind for what to happen in your life. So anyway, trying to explain it to her, and we got in a fight, so I didn't get the recording done, and I'm about to do it now because she's gone to my oldest kid's baseball game. I have 4 kids, and we're missing, as you can tell, so I'm watching 3. And I'm just honest, that's what I've been trying to teach her, and she's not going to get in her head. And just like with a relationship, when she gets mad at me because of this stuff, she tends to focus on the problems. I send her a message saying, we have a house, we have 2 cars, and 10 years ago when we met, we were in a small upstairs 3-bedroom apartment. We had a car that was in her father's name that we were paying that we no longer have. And now she's got a car in her name, I got a car in my name, we have a house. And we've both been bankrupt, I got my first car, it was before I did Magic World, mind you, but I got my first car a year and 3 months-ish after I fucking went bankrupt. And she got her car about a year and a bit after she went bankrupt, and that was when we did do that. And so anything's possible right there. She teaches. So I'm trying to tell her to not focus on that. You should be focused and grateful that we have, that we have these bills that we think you think you can't pay. I don't want you to focus on the fact that you think you can't pay them. It's her turn, Owen, and stop doing that. I keep telling you not to focus on those things. Focus on if you're grateful for the fact that you have a mortgage that you may not be able to pay. If you're grateful for your car payments that you may not be able to pay. If you're grateful for all this, everything that you have for the cars and for the bills that come with the cars and for all the shit you've had. If you can look at the big picture, if you can look back and say 10 years ago I didn't have any of this and now I have it, what the fuck am I complaining for? Because truth be told, when you sign that contract for that car and that house and all your other bills, your fridges, your stoves, your TVs, your couches, whatever, you knew you were going to have a fucking bill. You knew there's going to be times that it's going to be hard. So why the fuck are you complaining about it now? Are you fucking kidding me? Why are you complaining about something that you knew full well you signed a contract into? You're going to bitch about it? Like it's a surprise? Like you didn't think you're going to have to pay this bill or whatever? Come on. Fuck. And I'm not saying that to be mean or condescending or judging, because I don't judge. Well, I can't say that, but I try not to judge. One of my main goals is to never judge anyone. Drug addict, homeless, rich, successful, hot, ugly, fat, insane, sane, it doesn't matter. I don't judge. Whatever happens, whatever cause that person to be like that, whatever influence they have on me because of that is all part of this great plan that we cannot see, that we're trying to understand. But anyways, if you want to do what I'm doing, if you want to manifest things and all that, check out my shit on Spreaker or on YouTube. And I give, it's not very structured. It's very all over the place, kind of like what I'm talking now. But there's lots of lessons and do's and don'ts in there to teach how. But the biggest thing you can do if you don't want to do the candles and the rituals and all that, the best thing you can do, simply put, Napoleon Hill, Bob Proctor, I can't think of the other guy, Earl Nightingale, sorry. And there's a bunch of other guys from way back in the day that knew this stuff, and it was simply just controlling your imagination. It was simply just controlling your thoughts, only putting in your head what you want, writing down a specific desire. Putting a Nightingale has a simple, watch his videos on YouTube. Type his name, you'll see it. How to take back your mind. The simple instructions of writing down what you want. Your goal, putting in your pocket, looking at it, only thinking about it, and saying an affirmation a bunch of times a day. And it's as simple as I can put it too. That's just, people think this shit's like bullshit. It's not real. Those are the exact people that are going back on and watching YouTube videos about aliens and shit like that, or watching fucking regular TV where people have these perfect lives and houses and cars and boats, and they go around thinking, fuck, I don't got none of that shit. I'm never going to be happy with these people in the fucking box. And you can say all day long that this shit isn't real, I don't believe it, I don't believe what I see on TV, but your subconscious mind doesn't know that. It doesn't know between real and fake. That's why when you wake up from a fucking scary dream, or a dream where you're rich, and you wake up, you're either frightened still, and you realize, what the fuck is this dream? Or you're deeply disappointed when you wake up and you're no longer rich. I mean, who hasn't had that? I have all the fucking time. And then I try to remind myself, well, it's probably a premonition, something that's in the future. If I can recreate that dream on paper after that dream happens during the day, like if I have a dream where I'm rich, I'll write down everything that happened in that dream. And I will turn that into magic and focus it. And turn it into, that's what you're supposed to do. Use your dreams as a tool, as what you want. Or if you're getting nightmares all the time, well, you're not on your path. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Subconscious can't tell you, hey, you're fucking up, dumbass. Straighten the fuck out. No, it's gonna give you fucking symbols and pictures, dreams, shit in your life. Birds are gonna hit your fucking window, shit like that. 2 days before the solstice, I fucking got super constipated. Kind of a gross topic, but anyway, super constipated. Middle of the night. So I guess it was the day before the solstice. Being 2 days ago was the solstice, so it was the day before that. And woke me up in the middle of the night, and I was on a fucking shitter trying. I had such a pain in the stomach. This doesn't happen to me because, a few years ago I stopped eating meat. I'm not vegan, I'm more vegetarian because I love poutine, and french fries, gravy, and fucking cheese. So the cheese, and I do eat eggs from time to time. I don't eat any actual meat, fish, chicken, pork, fucking bacon, all that shit. If you are going to cook meat, please use rosemary and get rid of some of the carcinogens while you're cooking. I never get that constipated. I do things deliberately, but I needed to know something. He was trying to tell me something, probably something to do with fucking shock. Some of that thing. But that's for me to figure out. And I know that. And the sheer fact that, because in the past, I used to have those issues before I quit eating meat. And once I quit eating meat, it stopped happening. So I took that as, okay, that was my problem. That's great. And now, but at the time it kept happening. And it happened over and over and over again 2 times a week. And then it stopped. And now, it's doing the same thing. And as soon as I said, I'm going to figure out what this means, I haven't had it since. I mean, granted, it's only been for 4 or 5 days now, but it still hasn't happened. So there's no reason for it to keep happening now, because I ain't going to try to figure it out. But anyways, ceremonial witchcraft on Spreaker. My daughter's hitting me; she wants my attention. But anyways, have a good one, guys. I'm trying to put an episode up today or not, but there's 15 on there for you to try to take back your mind and how to do rituals and initiation on how I did it. Anyways, I love you. What's up, baby? It's kind of how the subconscious works. It keeps hitting you in the face until you fucking answer it. And if you don't answer it or try to fix it, it's going to keep hitting you in the face. So find different ways to do it, though. See, she hit me in the face. I acknowledge her. I stopped acknowledging her. Now she's talking loud. That's exactly how it is. Babies actually are all subconscious mind. That's it. She's being programmed right now. And if you're aware of this, not only are you going to fix your life, you're going to make your daughter or son or your kid's life fucking awesome. Parents don't want to make the same mistakes as their parents do. So if you go to things for their kids, but the sheer fact that you come home bitching about your job and they tell them to do chores, and then they start bitching about school and shit like that, and you tell them, don't be blah blah blah, be thankful for that, blah 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 blah. All you're doing is just reaffirming that. You don't want them to bitch about shit. Stop bitching about shit. They're seeing what you're doing, and they're doing it because they want to be like you. Subconscious or consciously knowing it or not. That's what's happening. So don't project things on other people. Try not to change people either. If you are in self-help or magic and you're trying to tell everybody, you do this, do this, do this, all you're telling them is they're inadequate or they're not operating correctly and shit like that. No one wants to fucking hear that. Try to find your emotional addictions and try to find the things that you still focus, because I do it. There's still things I focus on that I shouldn't be focused on. Things that, I'm not looking at the big picture. I'm looking at the small picture. So find those things in yourself and change them, and that's how you'll get through to other people. By telling, how many times have you actually told your kids to stop doing something they actually stop? That's tell your kids not to do something. It's the quickest way to get them to do it. Is it not? Isn't that the reverse psychology? That's in pretty much all the psychology books, and I have them. If you want them, send me a fucking message. I'll send you all the ones I have that I learned from my kids, my benefit, and my wife's psychology. But you read all the books you want about women, you're never going to learn it. And truth be told, probably the other way too. But you know, we're not supposed to understand each other. We're not supposed to know how to fuck with a woman, or, you know, fuck with their head and get our way all the time. Who the fuck are we to have a way all the time? No. We're supposed to learn, you know, do you have to compromise in happy wife, happy life? I don't think so. I don't think that's the right compliment. Happy anybody, happy life, you know. But you're never going to be continuously happy because there's things you need to learn, and the best way to learn is to make your own mistakes. Because if you make your own mistakes, you have to make your own mistakes. You're going to make all these mistakes. And the fact that you're complaining about not being able to pay bills or your job and shit like that, well, that's not going to do any good. You're just going to get more of those shitty experiments, or experiences, circumstances, situations. You just get more of them. You're going to make it worse. Thankful for it. Try it. What do you got to lose? What do you have to lose? By saying, I'm so thankful for that bitch at work that fucks with me all the time. You know, she didn't do that, and then I wouldn't have something to complain about. No, but seriously, if you fight fire with fire, you get more fire. Even if you put more air to fire, too much air can put out a candle. But if it's a big fire after firemen, the first thing they do is knock out the windows to get the air in. Oh, right? It's bigger, air, more words. I didn't more words, rather than fucking more talk and more fucking insults and shit like that. No, you need to use water to put out the fire. Earth, too, you put ground on it, there, it'll fucking, fire and air are both positive, and earth and water are both negative. So if something is positive, adding a positive to it, so you make it more positive. You need to add a negative to it to get balance, right? That's how you neutralize the fire. You add earth or water to it, and you squash that fucking fire, and it is donezo, Dundee. So emotion, you need to add emotion, and I don't know, fear might work. You scare that person who's fucking with you, and they're not fucking with you anymore. It'll work. It's an emotion. It's water. I mean, that might have some backlash come back to you, because once they're not all over fear you, that fear's going to come back to you, because you put out back to you. That's why if you put out love to that person, once it's done affecting them, it'll come back to you. Anything you put out comes back to you. Everything's a fucking story. Birch, Mind and Magic, Frederick Xavier. This is the guys I learned from. That's all over my speaker thing. Anything you hear me say is going to be derived from the shit they said. All I have 890 books on my fucking phone, something to that effect. It's on my website, the screenshot of it. No, I live in two, baby. And the Kabbalah and all those. I brought like fucking 500 of those books. Oh, 100. So I got a lot of knowledge. And that's what I'm spitting out here. I got a lot of different things in my birth chart that say I'm all about higher learning. My Sagittarius being my midheaven, and being in Capricorn, Sagittarius being in my 10th house, and being my midheaven is the reason I feel the need to talk about occult higher knowledge. It's the reason why if I make a video I don't like that, I gotta get rid of it and restart it. Why, if I look at myself, and that's why I make videos on Spreaker like I said in the last video, because just looking at myself, I feel like I look like an idiot, talking stupid, and not talking right. I have to delete it to do that. But that's where the shit came in, doing my self-hypnosis, my own tapes on my recorder, and going to sleep to it saying, I'm a great public speaker, I have confidence, things like that. Those aren't exactly what I'm doing there, but derivatives from those, and I get better at it, because right now, in my head, I can hear my fucking ego, because I have Gemini in the opposite of the Capricorn in the 10th house is Gemini in the 3rd house. I have Gemini in my 3rd house, and my 4th house also starts. They're both in Cancer. Sorry, Gemini is actually in my 2nd house. That's wrong. My 3rd house is Cancer, and so is my 4th house also starts in Cancer. I have one of those things where you have double signs in a house, double signs in another house, and then no sign in a house, no sign in another house. It's like Aries and not in any house. It goes from fucking Pisces right to Taurus, my 12th house is fucking huge. And then conversely, on the opposite side, I want to say where Pluto is in my Scorpio, it's fucking huge. And it skips a sign there. I'm not sure if it's a Scorpio sign, it skips for someone else. But my birth chart actually is on the website. It's attached to my Spreaker account. It's just like a Google fucking website. You can probably find it from Spreaker. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say today. A bunch of info that might not be good, but it's a little bit easier to do this than my recordings. My recordings are 45 minutes long now on Spreaker, but they're full of information. Good, useful, I think, anyways. What I did, what I didn't do. I've given one, how I use a lot of attraction before I got into occult knowledge, how to manifest, I was the cars and all that, And I gave the book I used for my second manifestation of 10 grand. The first one was 10 grand, a car, and to stay home with my kid, and to have a house. And it happened. It was a lot of attraction. I took the longest one. My second one, using financial sorcery, is what my next episode is going to be about. I'm going to give that specific implication. Say it all to you. The book, well, I said the book. And how I made a script, a spell, I guess, to Mammon, give him offerings. Because in that book, he talks about spirit of money, how he doesn't think money is a spirit, but has characteristics of a spirit. I mean, it's energy, right? Our spirit's energy, we're weak, we have energy flowing through us, positive and negative energy. And money is an energy that can be positive or negative. Therefore, it can be a spirit, right? Because negative entities that can be considered spirits or positive entities. That's only one pole or the other. We're an entity as well, but we have both positive and negative, and we're going to be in the middle. We're using both positive energy. And money is kind of the same way. It can be positive or negative energy. But anyway, so I didn't even look up anything about Mammon. I read that book and it looks with Mammon. Now, if you look up shit about Mammon, it talks about being a demon, and in the Bible it says you can't serve God or Mammon alone. I mean, you have to serve both. The way I take it, a staggered path. Birch talks about this, the right hand and the left hand path. You have to do both. This pentagram that I wear, right? This fucking thing right there, okay? But the thing pointed out, that's spirit, right? That's the other elements. East, south, or north and west, right? Or air, fire, wind, or water. And then when you have it reversed, this is exactly what Birch does, so I'm not copying him. I understand that's him do this, but when it's like this, that's flesh over the spirit over the flesh, and you need a balance. If you're already rich, then yeah, you're going to do spirit over the flesh. Or sorry, you're going to be, you already did the flesh over the spirit, because you already have the money, right? You need to do the opposite. You need to do the spirit now. You need to give the money and help people out, stuff like that. But if you're impoverished and you're responsible for some kids, then you need to work on your financial shit, get that under control, so you're not in poverty anymore, and it's not fucking right, and then you can do the other one. You got to do both, and you got to figure out what you got to do first. Anyways, thanks for listening. Ceremonial Witch.
Alright, what's going on, everybody? I'm back here again. It's going to be one on YouTube. Don't mind if I have dirt on my face or whatever. Just on the way to the clinic again. But since I feel bad about not putting on an episode between the fighting with the wife, fucking all that up, and getting my phone fucked up even more because of the fight, and getting a new phone and having to set it all up, man, it takes a long fucking time. Fucking iPhone. But, anyways, feel bad that I'm not putting on an episode, but I shouldn't. I really shouldn't put out episodes when I put out, so that's why I don't have a title, but I still kind of do, so talk about some shit right here that I'll probably talk about later in the episode. And, I mean, it's going to be polarity a bit, but just because I want to show and prove to people, because I have this notion and feeling, because I felt this way whenever I was going through neophytes, and even, not that long ago, before a lot of my manifestations started picking up, I felt like, well, maybe it's because of this something's working, maybe it's because of this, always second judging, and it wasn't until I completely let that go and literally just acted as if everything's going to work out, and just being grateful that shit just started fucking happening. But, polarity, being polarized. If you don't think you're depolarized and shit like that. I'm not completely depolarized. One bit. But I'm able to get manifestation to happen. And what happens is, the magician is aware of polarity. He uses polarity to his advantage for manifestation, but sometimes you can still be under some polarity as well. When me and my wife fought, it was over something fucking ridiculous. But it was a blowout to the point where I'm like, what are you saying? You want a fucking divorce? Like, screaming that at her, you know what I mean? And I don't get like that, not very often anymore, but that's how it was. And then, 20 minutes later after that, we're laying in bed fucking, So, that's polarity to the max right there. And if you don't think so, well, I don't know what to tell you, but that just goes to show you that you can be completely polarized and all fucking kinds of pissed off and still manifest the shit you want. It's not hard. You gotta do it right, I guess. Follow the rules. And see, that's the thing. Like, I'm polarized when it comes to my wife. When we fight, we have these little fucking spiffs, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you gotta understand, like I told her, at the beginning of our relationship, we never fought. It's one of the things that, like, I was like, man, she's gotta be the one. Like, we never fight. But then when you learn the Kabbalion, and then I watched something from Birch, Birch saying, he was talking about a covenant one time. He's like, if you have perfect love and perfect trust with somebody, if you guys never fight, he said, oh, watch out. You don't want to see that shit when it goes bad. And I never really understood that until just now. And it is the following. The fact that we never fought in the beginning of a relationship means now we're at the opposite end of the polarity. It makes sense. We've been together 10 years. So out of that 10 years, the first fucking 5 are great, and these next 5, you know what I mean? The middle has been pretty good too. Fights but make up, and to me that seemed normal. And now it's fight after fight after fight. Not so much anymore. I think we're back on the decline, back to the right way, but still, you know what I mean? So, and that thought alone scares the shit out of me. That we can be in perfect sync or perfect hatred, harmony or hatred. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow. Every little thing sets us off at each other. It's brutal. And, when we talk it out after, everything works out. Like, I make a point to go and, be the first one to make the move most of the time. Say sorry. She'll do it in her subtle little ways that I understand, but nobody else fucking would. They wouldn't understand what she was doing because she's not very good at apologizing. Whereas I don't give a fuck. I'll apologize right after I do something wrong. If it means not fucking fighting anymore, I don't give a fuck. But lately, I've been having trouble doing that, and that's what tells me there's something else going on. Because when I can't just suck it up and not fucking, there's a copper coming or some shit. When I can't just suck it up and let it be, I got issues. Oh well, it is what it is. Alright, let's try to keep going where I was going. Quite a few hours went by since then. My son's girlfriend's parents are about to pick him up, so I don't want him to think I'm nuts talking to myself in the car. But, oh well, it is what it is. So yeah, generally, I'm the one to apologize, and, probably because most of the time I'm the one that fucks up. But even in the times where I think I'm right, whether it's right now or it's even before I got into magic and we fought, I would still always be the first one to apologize. And, because I really believed in the, married or just even being together, to not go to bed mad at each other. My dog's barking here in the background. It's a person walking by. Anyways, so I'd always apologize. And, now that I got into magic, even though this would happen before magic as well, though, when I could tell she was really upset, frustrated that, even though I apologized and she accepted it, she was still upset. I would start play fighting with her. And, when we play fight, I always win. I dominate or whatever because I can. But, like, with a child, you let them win sometimes. And the reason I would do that with her is so she can get her anger out, physically get it out. And that's because, I know what I know. I know that doing exercise, especially if you're doing it specifically to move out negative energy, sometimes too much positive energy can be negativity. But that's a different episode. I'll talk about it on Spreaker sometime. But just letting someone, I'm not saying to let someone beat the crap out of you or whatever the case is, but my wife, if at that time, she works out now, she goes to the gym, she's doing really well too, but she, at this point wasn't exercising or anything like that in the past. And, now though, I know if I let her take it out physically on me, she'll feel better. And it's not the fact that she's hitting me, and she's hitting me because she's mad, which, that's what most people think is why whenever they hit the person, they're getting out that negativity on them, that the person deserves a punch. So
they give them said punch and then they feel better. It's like, you got what you deserved, and that's why they feel better and they can move on. So, it doesn't matter if that's what they think, that's what they think, but that's not accurate. They're really just getting that out of their body. They're being able to physically move those, I don't want to say negative emotion, because that's more like negative energy, but that negativity that they're holding on to, that's in their body, they are allowing that to go, because she's still upset about something, right? I gave her some words, she took the words, and she was still upset. Something's still bugging her, and if she's not willing to talk it out, to get out of her system verbally, write it down, speak it out, well, it's got to come out somehow. It's still inside of her. So by letting her, hit me or whatever, then it gets it out. And, it's to a certain extent. I block, and I let her get a good one in. And I block, and let her get a one in. I control it as much as possible. But that's normally the process, whether I think she's right or wrong. If she's right, then, I'm going to still apologize. But if she's wrong, I'd always be the first one to do this as well, because I know she's not going to do it. But as soon as I show hints of me doing it, like I said in the last video, that she'll do her little subtle way that only I know, that's her way of saying sorry, because she's a hard-headed person when it comes to that. But nowadays, lately anyways, especially on Sundays, something with Sunday, man. I know what I think I know, what it's about, and I'll maybe talk about that after, but the Sundays, when we have the fights, it's harder for me to do that, to make that first move, to be the bigger man and just apologize and move on. I have way too many thoughts in my mind going over and over all the things that she's done wrong or is wrong for, and it won't allow me to apologize to her, And this could be part of the reason that, me going through the self-transformation, me being depolarized. Sorry, I just want to make sure they don't creep up on me and see me talking in the car. My son's girlfriend's parents. It's harder and harder for me to do that. And, after this fight, after the big fucking brawl we had, we didn't actually fight, but like fist fight, but we, like I said, it was pretty intense, and it was over something super ridiculous. And whenever she got back home, and when I tried to go to record, whenever I was upset with her, I obviously couldn't. I was in way too negative a state. Anything I would have said would have came out way too backwards, upside down. It wouldn't have been, unless I was talking about some fear-based shit or something that I don't think is right, and then it might have been a really good episode. But I generally don't want to make episodes in that state. Even when I'm overly excited or happy, I try not to make episodes, because then they might come up to, being in the middle is where you want to be. And that's kind of the overarching tone of this, and I hope I can get back to this, but that's the realization after we made up, and and all that. It was great, but once that all happened, after we made up, it was this is what came to me. It's like, no, there's no reason for me to. I gotta try. I gotta actually work at this now. Now that I identified the problem, identified that for some reason we fight more on Sundays. I said this a long time ago, so I already know this is an issue. So whenever there's Sunday issues happening, I gotta do my best to transmute them as they come, because she's not. And it's not her fault, but she's not going to be able to realize that. She's just going to think it is what it is, just fights happen randomly. But for me, I need to be thinking above that. I need to know that on Sundays we're more prone to fight. Just like I've even told her to not do anything to extra provoke our oldest boy on Tuesdays, because we could do the same thing to him all week, like tell him to do chores, tell him to do this, tell him to do that. And he doesn't like doing jobs at all. He's kind of lazy in that way. This is the baseball star I told everybody about. Had a big episode about, one of my earliest episodes. And if we do the same things on a Tuesday, he will blow up and leave the house and, say, I'm sick of this family, and, too much Mars energy coming out of him. He's a Cancer, but he's very close to the Leo line, and that's something I should get to maybe a little bit later and break down maybe for you, especially if you have kids. But it's another thing I identified. So now that I identified this Sunday fighting thing,
it's not her the problem. That's kind of how I was going. Like on Sunday we fight more. So on Sunday there's something with her sun and her chart that's in balance, and come to find out that it's not necessarily her. It could be me, and I actually think it may be me, because if I'm able to almost always be able to be the bigger man and apologize, and then now I can't, it's not happening. These fights are happening more frequent, and even though they're happening more frequently, when they happen on a Sunday, I'm not able to do that. The only day of the week I'm not able to do that is on Sunday. Well, why is that? My sun is in Taurus in my chart. Mercury is also in Taurus, but it's in my 12th house. But point being that I had to look at my chart, I had to look at my houses, I had to look at what's right across, and directly across is, I'm not going to get into all that now, maybe I'll do that in my episode. Point is, I don't know if anybody has this problem or not, but if you do, if you are having fights with somebody, and if you can't apologize to them or whatever, well, I'm not going to tell you maybe you should be the bigger man and just apologize and suck it up, because there's too many variables. The person could be wrong, person could be a dick, person this, that, the other thing, could be using you, could be abusing you, could be cheating on you. I don't know, can't say that, but I know for me, my wife doesn't do any of those things. She is actually, out of all the shit that's happened in our relationship, I've done the majority of the bad things, and you could say, well, I don't know stuff about her, but she's a very honest person, which is probably why she has a problem apologizing, because she's been barely ever really wrong or done anything really bad to be wrong. So there's really no reason for her to apologize. So now that I'm doing my best to be honest with her, tell her everything, and I'm not really doing bad things, she almost has to go looking for the fights. I won't say exactly what happened, but my mood wasn't... Oh, the light just went out. That was crazy. All right, well, let's see if my key's here. Shit, sorry, everybody. Fucking light just went on in the car like that. That's crazy. I thought they'd stay on as long as I was in here. I guess I'll leave the key in the ignition. There we go. And then there was light. There we go. And there was light. All right. So, oh, fucking lost the train of thought again. Son of a bitch. Oh, but... Oh, yeah, okay, so I was in a great mood because I had to stop. I was going to be doing my show, and I had to stop doing my show for her to go to the gym, but this is already prearranged. She told me ahead of time, and I knew this, so it wasn't her fault at all, but I was still in a pissy mood, so I knew right from the get-go this is my issue. So this goes back to that same thing I'm saying, how I think it's my problem and not hers. She was up forth and told me that everything was happening, and I got a little upset, but I hadn't done anything wrong. I didn't say anything wrong, but it was like, she could feel it, she could sense it. She's not into any of this stuff, but she knew damn well there was something bugging me, and I was doing my best to not let it out. I was trying to focus on my daughter, and I made a comment about something not being in the house, and she took it as if I was making a comment about her spending or being impulsive and all that again that I tend to talk about. And that's kind of something I hoard over her. I make jokes about it, but it's me joking to try to point it out to her. She thought that's what it was. So when she sent me the text saying, this is how I feel that you said this, and it wasn't nice, blah, 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 I immediately thought she was instigating a fight. So I immediately just went off saying, everything is great, because we had sex the night before. So when I even spent the day with you, I barely was doing any of my stuff. I was supposed to do an episode, I didn't. Today I was supposed to do an episode, I still haven't done it. So, and now, blah, 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 and you're just instigating a fight. So I kind of was the one to blow it out of proportion, being the man who was supposed to be depolarized, the magician going through the self-transformation. She was trying to be honest, trying to stay positive, and just asked me if that's how I took it, and I lost it on her and instigated the whole fight. And then after, when I tried to make an episode, I couldn't. I ended up sleeping the whole day, and then woke up at 11 o'clock, saw a message from her that she sent me on my phone from downstairs, and then I woke up and I snapped on her. So the ceremonial way person making all these shows talking about depolarization and my manifestations and this and that and the other thing, I was the one who was unbalanced and polarized against my wife for whatever reason.
And like I said, this is a Sunday thing, and I finally was able to identify that it was me, and this was huge. This is why I haven't made this episode though, because we just got over this, and I didn't want to just start ignoring her and trying to make the episode and that, because this week I'm on days, so this is the week we get to spend time with each other after work. So in a sense, the fight happening on Sunday was a good thing, so we didn't have to because if we got into a fight this week, what would happen is we wouldn't have the whole day like on Sunday to have this entire fight. Basically keep rolling up into the climax, and then boom, the big event, and then we fight and get over it. It would be 3 hours every day of the week that we see each other from after work, ignoring each other, saying little comments to each other, and then by Thursday we might have had the fight, and then on Sunday I go in for overnight shift, and then we don't see each other. So it's kind of good the way it happened, and the fact that it helped me identify an issue is really good. But I just wanted to point out that we can be us going through the magical transformation can sometimes be a little self-righteous and think that our unawake counterparts and significant others and wives or husbands aren't as far along as us, and therefore we can always think we're the right ones and we are without flaw. And I never pretend to be completely depolarized, and I'm sure no one listening to me does either, but the sheer fact that you are doing and working towards being depolarized, and the other people aren't, sometimes make you feel like, okay, well, is this me? Because I'm trying to be depolarized, and I'm pretty depolarized, and so it's got to be them, and that's something a very toxic attitude that can happen that we need to strive to not do. And it took, I don't know how many Sundays we got into fights, and I'm not going to say every Sunday was my fault, but going by what I know now, there's a good chance that the majority of them are because of me. I always thought Sunday was maybe just both of our sons clashing, and I think it's just my ego that's tied to my conscious mind clashing. And I really don't like putting the sun with the ego, because the sun is a beautiful planet, just like, well, it's not a planet, but you know what I mean, like the 7 planets all have good sides and bad sides, so I don't like to focus on any of their bad sides. However, it's just something I need to deal with. And I came up with the conclusion to I have to rationalize it. I can't let my instinctive, subconscious, habitual mind take over and just kind of like take over in the sense of no, you're better than she is, so she's wrong. She's doing this, because I completely missed the point she was trying to say, and completely just switched the whole paradigm of the fight and started freaking out on her, and it wasn't her fault whatsoever. But it was just a message that I wanted to send out to you guys, because I'm not going to say it, because I've like I said before, I've told people, I said manifestations out here before that weren't like of cash that have already came and gone, but like of my EI and being a certain amount of time, and then it actually being shortened. So, but I've had recent manifestations happen, some pretty good ones too. So I'm not going to say exactly which ones, but during this time period. So I want people to know that just because if you're not completely depolarized, if you're having similar issues like this, and you think that's what's stopping your manifestation, it's not. But if you remain too long in those feelings and don't deal with them, then yeah, it's gonna consume you. It'll take you over. It'll stop what should happen. Understand that us as people, magicians, witches, whatever, we need to use polarity to our advantage. Whether that's in a fight with our loved ones, whether that's for manifestation, whatever the case is. And you can say, well, isn't that what the bad guys do to us? Yeah, that's what they do to us. But that's the nature of the game. We stay in the middle so we can recognize both sides, so we're not on either one of those sides. And when it comes time to bring something to us or push something away, we can do that. So just because you still get polarized from time to time, it's okay, but you got to deal with it. You got to work on it. You got to get past it. But don't try not to become self-righteous, thinking that because you're doing this. And kudos to anybody going through the program and doing the curriculum and don't become whoopee cushions. Don't get walked all over. Don't, especially if you're an empathic person or whatever the case may be. You don't want to be taken advantage of. And I think that's where some of the problem comes from. Is I was thinking that maybe she was taking advantage of me, and some way, shape, or form I won't really get into, which isn't really the case. But even if she is in a certain manner taking advantage of me in one way as my wife, I certainly do it to her back, and that's part of our marriage. So anyways, I just wanted to maybe put that message out there that from time to time you're gonna see yourself fucking polarized whenever you're trying not to be polarized, and it might break you down because it's very easy to remain happy, positive, think of your manifestations when everything's going good, but it's very hard to do it when it's not going good, and it takes a big person to be able to apologize or identify what their issues are and work on them actively and try to become better and strive to be better instead of just putting the blame on somebody else. I was actually part of our fight. She made a statement saying she was trying to be positive and I was bringing her down. And I told her, well, that's how it was for the last 3 years with me going through this program and me trying to be depolarized, and you continuously telling me I had to do this and do this and do this. So every time she would come to me with an issue or problem, I flip it on her instead of saying, you know what, that isn't right. Because it doesn't matter if she did it to me first. It doesn't matter if for 3 years she did it to me and I've only done it to her let's say this one time, which isn't true. I've done it to her more than once. But let's just say that was the fact. It doesn't matter. I am trying to make myself a better person so that eventually the change I make inside will affect other people. And it has. It's affected my wife already in a profound way. Just her saying that she's trying to remain positive and that it was me bringing her down shows me that my transformation is affecting her and everyone else around me. She's not the only one that tells me stuff like this all the time. I've affected quite a few people by actually doing the work and not just going out there and preaching. So it doesn't matter. Once, I don't want to say just apologize and, try to, reverse the polarity. They got a negative charge going, apologize even if it's not your fault, and make it a positive polarity. Now in this way, the world will be positive and positivity instead of negativity. I don't want to just say that. I do want that to be the eventual outcome, but you first need to deal with the issue, right? Like we did. Fucking lights, cock sucking motherfucking. All right, I'm almost done, guys. But that's going to be the eventual goal. But I wasn't able to do that. Like I was very upset that whole day, and I was so upset that I couldn't understand why. Because I knew even inside that this was a stupid reason to be fucking mad. It made no sense to be mad like this, but yet I couldn't help it. All I could do was meditate, and then I fell asleep. And then I woke up even more mad, and then we made up. So it all worked out for the best reason, and now I was able to analyze it and work at it, and now I know I have to strive to do that. Whenever there's an issue, I have to talk to her about the issue and maybe explain to her, okay, well, this is what I didn't like that you did, and then she'll tell me what I did that she didn't like, and then we can move on. And then I can actually transmute the negative energy to a positive energy and not just fakely do it by, oh, I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Because that's something that, my body is not allowing me to do anymore. So that tells me that that's not always the answer. And for me, just taking the blame just to get it done with, you know what I mean? Just to make, smooth the waters over. And that's something people, empathic people, agreeable people, Jordan Peterson says this, agreeable people will do. They'll, on the short term, do almost anything, even at the expense of themselves, to smooth over the waters. But it's not a very good long-term solution. And, maybe that's why my son was telling me that, Corey, you can't just be, this shit's your fault, bud. You should probably be apologizing for this one, for sure. This is 100% your fault. But you can't be just always apologizing. She has to learn to do it too. It's part of her transformation, maybe. And part of your transformation is to not always be the one saying, I'm sorry, and taking the blame for shit that's not even yours. So that's a big old fucking video. I guess it's gonna have to fucking edit the shit out of this to get it on fucking certain places. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, the point was just to if you're having fights, if you're feeling polarized and you get down on yourself thinking, fuck, man, I'm supposed to be depolarized, not this polarized. This sucks. I'm never going to fucking blah, blah, blah. Don't. That's the worst thing you can fucking do. I'm here to tell you that it's okay. Even the best of us have these fucking moments. I'm far from the best, but I'm proof that, I just had this big blowout where I was mad for almost 24 hours straight, almost the entire Sunday. I was angry to the point where, just, couldn't do anything. Couldn't do anything but try to meditate and then fell asleep. That was it. So angry. And manifestation happened on Monday. Manifestation happened today. Boom, boom. And I mean, I did sigil for the one like a week ago. And the other one was just something I wrote down that I didn't even think was going to happen past. That one wasn't very, it's important. But anyways, I can't really get into it without saying it, but point is, even with this big polarity fucking battle between me and my wife, where I was completely polarized against her, she was polarized against me, bad energy in the house, you know what I mean? This shit still happened because I did the other shit right towards the process. And maybe I needed to go through this polarity battle to learn this lesson for it to actually happen. Because, a fucking Monday, we made up. Well, it was technically Monday when we made up. We were done having sex. It was Monday. It was like 12:30 or something like that, Monday morning, basically. I had to go to work in like 5 hours. And so I didn't get much sleep that night. But, once we made up, boom. So I had the transmute that energy. I had to go through that probably. I don't know. Maybe it would happen faster. I don't know. But all I'm trying to say is don't get down on yourself if you have these polarized moments. Try to analyze them and get past them and figure out what you did wrong, or at least if you can, look at your chart too. If you can notice a pattern like it's happening on specific days, then it might be a good thing to look at what day and where that is in your chart, and you might be able to realize, it might be something as simple as Mars energy, the Sun energy, or it might be something as more complex like what's across from that, or what house it's in, because what you're fighting about could be, if you're fighting on every Sunday and your Sun is in your fucking, your second house where your money is or something like that. Well, that could be the issue. That's what my wife says. That's where her Sun is. It's in her money house. So, and then whenever she thought I was making a comment about something that had to do with her being impulsive with money, we got into a fight. Well, look at that. Funny how that works. So anyways, that's it for me. I'm going to have this next episode hopefully wrapped up in the next couple of days. It'd be nice if I could finish it tonight, but I can't guarantee it. Like I said, I record stuff on the phone and then I put it on the computer. I have recorded right to the computer, but the problem is I got extra people in my house right now. Brother-in-law's down, so it's very hard to find silence and to be able to do this without thinking there's ears listening to me. And when I do it like that, it's half-assed and it's not very well done. So I have to come to the car like I am right now. I'm at my house, but I'm hiding in my car doing this recording, this video. So that's kind of the problem. And on the phone, the recording fucking app is not even on there. The one that comes with the phone, I can't even fucking find it. I feel fucking dense, but I looked everywhere. I asked a few people and they can't find it either. So I'm going to have to record or I'm going to have to download one. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Have a great fucking day.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Corey LeBlanc, Ceremonial Witch. My bad for this terrible audio video-ness. This is my fucking bedroom. I got my two little girls in the bath right now. My oldest one's in there playing with food coloring, not dye, food coloring. It's probably not necessarily great for the body, but I keep adding, taking out the water, putting different salts in there, neutralize it. I even have some baking soda and some vinegar in there, which was kind of cool. I mean, a nice little explosion. That explosion actually is a type of alkaline electricity, so to speak. And it's kind of the process that your body does internally that, that actually creates electricity inside your body to, if you, a long time ago, but not near the beginning of my episode, somewhere in the middle of my episodes, closer to the beginning though, there is videos in there about Jerry Tennant. Talks about alkaline and its role in the body and curing everything from cancer
diabetes, Alzheimer's, all that stuff, because your cells in your body run on electricity, basically. So if your cells in your body are regenerating, basically, because they start, they're born, basically, so to speak, your cells, and then some of those cells are for different tasks, whether that's creating organs, from your skin to your heart to your spleen to your kidneys to your tonsils. Everything is made up from cells. And there are some cells that are just, it's very complex. So it's hard to just give a generic, simple picture, especially because, I didn't do any actual study, like any kind of school or anything, for any of this stuff. I'm going by what I'm learning online myself. And I think I have a great perception and I think I understand it well, but once again, this is just stuff online that I'm learning. And just like the textbooks in the school, arguments have been made that our history is wrong. So anything you learn in school and get a degree for can technically be based on wrong. But then the alternative is what? You're facing, you're going to say, well, the stuff you're learning in school is wrong, but it's versus the stuff you're learning online where, all these sources are just basically the same in the end. Yeah, you can go back so far and it's going to be someone's either opinion or someone's firsthand knowledge. And if no one was there to understand the firsthand knowledge, then how is that different from an opinion if you have no way to validate it? So that all push aside what I just said, assuming that Jerry Tennant is a doctor, went to school, and when he suffered his own disease where he can only think 1 or 2 hours a day clearly, and he had to find out what was wrong with him in those 1 to 2 hours a day, and when he decided to look into pH because he realized, well, your cells run. He knew there was something wrong with him, and he knew if he could work up from the smallest level of our anatomy, of our biology, / chemistry, I guess, but not really chemistry. Physics is actually the first, and then physics comes before everything else. And so what he came up with was the fact that the cells that have to regenerate, the cells that are basically, because cells are going to be created, if these cells are not creating organs, and if these cells aren't doing anything good, basically, then that's how disease happens. So if he could fix his cells, then, I guess, roughly speaking, to use a Jordan Peterson term, he could fix his disease. And so he did. Not that simple, and that's why I always promote putting Himalayan sea salt in your water / juice. If you do that, you're adding electricity in your body. So to make this long story short, by putting that stuff in the water, and once again, I've said this many times, you absorb way more water in a bath than you do by drinking water. But if you're drinking water and you put minerals in it, such as Himalayan sea salt has 82 minerals in it. However, if you're able just to, I was going to say you don't like the taste of salt and water, which I don't blame you. You probably don't. I do. I got used to it, and I've always liked salt all my life. Very much addicted to salt. And I want to talk about the salt, the iodized salt. Although iodine is very good for you, some European countries, the government's actually handed out iodine pills to the cities, to the masses, to the people because of Wi-Fi, because of radiation and stuff like that. Now, I don't know if these are places close to where nuclear bombs went off and all that, and that's radiation they're talking about. And it's been misconstrued as Wi-Fi radiation. But either way, I think it's pretty cool that there is a government out there doing that. Likewise, these same governments that hand out iodine pills to help battle cancers from radiation, basically, because especially here in Canada, we don't pay for our health care. Therefore, if everybody's dying of cancer or any disease, then that's going to take a toll on our debt, on our money, basically, because someone has to pay these fucking doctors and someone has to pay for this medicine. And if everything is paid for by the government, well, then the government is paying for it. So the more sick people you have, the more more money the government has to spend. Probably a reason why they also legalized marijuana here in Canada. I don't necessarily think the marijuana saves people, although I can make that point too because I've done research on that as well. Being that we have a cannabinoid system in our body, it's actually called that in cannabis, cannabinoid. So by smoking cannabis, people it used to be illegal, but anyways, the point I'm trying to make is just that electricity I put in that bathtub with those two little girls is actually good for you. Vinegar is not unhealthy for the body. It's actually a healthy acid. That's why drinking a little bit of apple cider vinegar a day will actually help you, and that's the vinegar I put in there. It's apple cider vinegar, so it's not as intense as just regular vinegar. It is an acid, but it's not like a sulfuric acid or something like that. But yeah, when you put that in there, the base, and that's basically what your body's doing. When you drink something, especially something like pop, that mixes your body, confuses your body when you drink pop, and it doesn't produce that because it's acidic, but it's also like a base. So, anyways, the formula from pop going in your body, basically, your body doesn't do the other part. If you put something very acidic in your body, then your body's going to kind of try to add a base to that to even it out. And likewise, if there's something very base coming into your body, there's an acidic process. And that's why our food, most of our food, unless it's spicy food, is very, can be, once you chew it up and everything cuts together, it's very much a base. And the exception would be for like adding spices and stuff like that, which spices are very healthy for you. Like pop, that gives mix it.
For Christ's sakes. God. Anything fucking work?
That to even it out. And likewise, if there's to that to even it out. And likewise, there's something. Our food, most of our food, unless it's spicy.
Are you coming with us, or?
I'm just recording. Give me a second, okay? Yeah. I'll come.
And the vinegar is very similar to a reaction to how you it up and everything cuts together. It's very much a base. And the exception would be for like adding spices and stuff like that, which spices are very healthy for you. But we have acid in our body that helps break down that food as well in our system. But there is a process that happens, and it's mainly with liquids, as far as I know, that it creates, it does that. That reaction of baking soda and the vinegar is very similar to a reaction that happens in your body. Once again, this is all information I picked up from different doctors that are kind of on a spiritual slash, not motivational speaking, but a self-help kind of journey now, and trying to give out information that they can't or couldn't give out when they were an actual practicing doctor. So by that process happening in your body, that creates electricity, and then that gets distributed to, according to Jerry Tennant, you have like battery packs in your body, okay? So if there's a specific part of your body where the cells aren't healthy and you have a disease in that particular part of the body, well then you got to check the cell growth. You got to find out, and he's got various things to do. He's got tuning forks that will essentially tell you exactly where the problem is, and then from there where the corresponding battery pack is, and then from there if there's another problem as well. He really, he actually is not a spokesperson, but he does promote, and he does make money off of his company, and he's very open and upfront about that, which I like. But there's a company, and it's basically, it's like seaweed, or like algae. Anyways, basically your spirulina, that green shit there, or one of those things. Anyways, a lot of these health food things that have lots of antioxidants and different healthy things for you that help you live forever. Well, Spirulina is one of those superfoods. There's multiple things, kind of like chia seeds. But spirulina is the kind that is like made from algae, from water. And there's some very, very powerful stuff found in water. It is one of the elements. You know, everything we eat, human-wise, whether it's the animals or it's the plants, you know, it needs water, it needs earth, it needs the air, and it needs fire, which I don't know how you want to classify that, if it's the sun or not, because technically the sun would be air, but then there's also oxygen as well. So I don't want to get into that. I have opinions, but once again, it's a very untidy perception, so I won't talk about that. But one of those two, you know, can be considered the fire. One of those two, and you know, fire is also like action and all that, then growing, whatever, blah 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 blah. But stuff that's in the water has less oxygenation, you know, and it's more concentrated probably when it comes to things. So anyways, there's just some power in that kind of stuff. So before anybody gets all upset and thinks I'm doing something bad to my daughters with all that, well, I'll just understand that I've done a lot of research on this, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying, according to my research, I'm right. Oh man, fuck. But anyways, I was supposed to go on Spreaker a few times ago and make a fucking video. Make a fucking episode, finishing off what I wanted to talk about, and I dropped the signal, I want to say like 4 or 5 nights ago, and I never got around to it. So I think I might just say what I have to say on here, and then make the episode after, because then I can just say what I wanted to say now, and then elaborate later. And, you know, I wrote a couple points down, and basically I was just going to let my intuition and my, you know, rambling kind of happen and go forth. And, you know, I play a lot of Jordan Peterson on here, and Jordan Peterson breaks down the Bible a lot. Jordan Peterson is a very intelligent person, I think. Is he perfect? Hell no. Am I going to adopt all his beliefs? Hell no. But it serves a purpose listening to him, because, you know, he's got a lot of very good ideas, and I mean, everything that he says to a fundamental level, or on a I don't even know. That's not what I meant to say with fundamental level. But anyways, on some kind of a level, and that could be just me, because I can watch kids shows and think there's occult knowledge in there. And I think at a certain point, you just get to a certain point where you can make anything sound or look like occult knowledge and relate it to it. That's maybe just where I'm at. But anybody who talks about Jordan Peterson and doesn't think he's a practicing occultist or anything like that, they're probably right. I don't think he is. I think he might do some things that he doesn't believe is occultish. Who am I to say what he believes in? I don't know what he believes in, and I don't care what he believes in. I'm happy what he's doing, and I think it's very important what he's doing as a job. So I'll leave that at that. But his stuff that he talks about from, you know, he talks about the Egyptian gods, and then he's relating to the Bible, and then, you know, he talks about so many things, and to me, it's all occult knowledge. It's all things you need to go. I mean, when he talks about your personality, your persona, you know, that's like your first house in astrology, where your sun is who you're going to show the world you are. But that's not really. And your descendant is actually more likely to be what you feel like. Not necessarily who you are either, but how you feel. What is more closer to probably the real you. And when it's really, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, but you're basically a mix between those two things. It'd be like your positive and negative, you know, your conscious, your subconscious. And that's kind of another correlation with that. So he talks about that. He talks about shadow work and all that. He talks about young being the shadow side is closer to the real you. And when you incorporate your shadow with your persona, then that's closer to being you. And to me, that's what I try to do with astrology. That's what I try to learn with astrology. But anyways, pushing that aside, I was going to talk about the Psalms, right? The Psalms. That's in the Bible, right? Psalms. And as a child, I always saw the word Psalms. And, you know, they're going to sing the Psalms. We're going to talk about the Psalms, blah, 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 blah. Whenever we stayed up, and passage from the Psalms, or when we're sitting down, someone goes up there, or whatever the case is. And I was always infatuated with that word. And I always asking my mom and everybody around me, like, who wrote the Psalms? What's the Psalms? And maybe they didn't know, and maybe they didn't want to say it. I don't really know. Maybe it's because there's negative connotations about it now, which is kind of, sometimes hard to find. There are things about King Solomon that aren't positive, but I think for the majority of the stuff you find out there about Psalms and Solomon is pretty good. I mean, maybe I'm just not looking in the right places. I don't know. I'm very specific in some of my searches, but that's where the Psalms come from. The Psalms come from King Solomon. He wrote the Psalms. That's his. That's who wrote them. So anybody who's practicing ceremonial magic and potentially even witchcraft, to say that the Bible, they don't believe in the Bible and this and that. Well, witchcraft might be more of a stretch, but for ceremonial magic, I mean, a lot of this shit comes from King Solomon. And not necessarily comes from where, like, he invented it, but, like, you know, all the sigils that he made for the demons, you know, those were some, like, as far as I know, maybe some of the first sigils on a mass scale to the world. Now, we do know, like, in really ancient places, they had sigils and carvings on the wall, but not many people knew about this unless you were near the area, because, you know, don't forget that there was no cell phones or telephones or anything like that. You know, at one point there wasn't even mail. So even if they had a mail system in the very beginning, to send a letter to a different country to tell them that, hey, there's sigils on this wall, I just don't think happened. Therefore, unless you had those where you lived and knew them, I mean, there's a good chance that the sigils and stuff that you learned about that came from King Solomon. You know, the Goetia, talking about the 72 demons, the Lesser Key of Solomon, all that stuff. If you deal in any witchcraft that has to deal with these demons, and these demons, yeah, even if it's the Enochian stuff, I mean, technically, it's all coming from there. Enochian was, you know, derived in some way from these, for using the angelic forces to control the demonic forces. So, because the Bible has been corrupted, and it is corrupt, and I'm never going to say that it isn't, but to just tear apart the whole book and not use it whatsoever, because of that, is just silly. It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It would be like to listen to Jordan Peterson about the shadow self, completely agree with it, you know, and then he starts talking about the transgender stuff that he did and being mean to people, and because of that, and because you think he's doing it because he's a transphobe or whatever the case is, you know, maybe you got friends, or maybe you are, I don't know what it is, and then everything he said at that you learned from Carl Jung, you just kind of throw away and say it's got to be bullshit because I don't like this. Well, that'd be the same thing as, you know, not using the Bible for magic. And I'm not saying that the Bible is right. I'm not saying that we should believe in the Bible. I'm just saying that, you know, the fact that King Solomon made the Psalms that are in the Bible, yeah, they probably twisted it to fix their own thing, but you can see through it, and that's the thing I like, you know. When you add esoteric knowledge to the Bible, you find the true intention of things, even if they change things around. And, you know, for the most part, we have a good idea of the things that they changed around. There are still some really bad things in there for witches and magicians to this day that are still in there. So that kind of sucks. And, you know, maybe that was the intention. Maybe they directly put stuff in the Bible like that to get people to not like it, who were into magic, because, you know, if you add magic in all your magical books and you use the Bible as well on top of it, you can be a very powerful magician or witch. And if you don't, well, then you're not going to have the full ranges. I mean, that book is a tool. A book is, as Jordan Peterson said, a library, because it's all separate books inside one big book. Therefore, you can't just take a couple of those books that have been corrupted and throw all the rest of the books out. That'd be like going to the library and seeing Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, My Struggle, basically. But that's this book he wrote when he was in jail, basically, before World War II, I want to say. And I read most of it. Not the whole thing, but I read most of it. And that'd be like saying, oh, I'm not going to read any book from this library because it's got that, which some people do. So people do that, you know, that Chick-fil-A thing I put on here. After Xavier talks about how the owner of Chick-fil-A said the sanctity of marriage should be between a man and a woman, and pissed off the gay community who didn't want to go buy any. And then, the Christian the Christian community, I guess, said, oh, yeah? Well, if they're not going to do it, we support you for saying that statement. And more than that, we're going to actually financially support you and go in there and buy a record number of Chick-fil-A so to show the gay community we're on top. And that kind of all bullshit, to be honest, but that's what happened. And it's the same concept, right? This person says something wrong, so, you know, they might have great food and it might be healthy for you, probably not, but, you know, just because he said one sentence, he's not going to go in there, even though the people that are working there and need you to go in there to provide for their kids or whatever. It's just a way of thinking. I'm not saying go to Chick-fil-A and eat that shit to support the people that work there. Fuck no, don't do that. They're working there, they're bad if they're going to work in somewhere where it's going to do more harm than good to keep that place open. And I'm not saying that that's the case or not. I'm just throwing shit out there. But what I am trying to say is, that's the whole throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And if you incorporate the Bible into your magic, you're going to be a better magician or witch or whatever you might be practicing. Maybe you're just new age. Maybe you're just someone who likes to do yoga and start concentrating on breath and getting fucking intuition kicking in, so you're meditating. And that's cool. Do that. Do it smart. Maybe pick up a couple beginner books of magic that just teach you the basics about making circles and a couple protection amulets and all that. And once again, you can make the argument that says, well, once you open the doors, once you feel the need to create a protection amulet, you are opening up in your mind the potential for danger. And if you were to never open up that potential for danger, then you'll never be in danger. And I don't believe in that. I do to a certain extent, because the whole, well, you can't be hypnotized unless you believe in hypnosis. And yes and no, because people are getting hypnotized all the time by the TV. People are doing magic all the time against their will that they don't want to do, by cursing themselves and watching TVs and creating fake scenarios in their head through the TV. Like I said, Grey's Anatomy, if you're watching that, well, three or maybe every episode, probably every episode, you're going to see something about someone dying of cancer. And it's just going to make those stats that they throw out there in the world reaffirmed in your head that cancer is that real and that more of us are going to get it. And this argument I'm presenting, to throw down the other argument, is also making a new argument, because the fact that they tell you cancer can kill you is now opening up the opportunity for cancer to kill you. So it's the same concept. So this is one of those chicken and the egg things. It's a circle, and to break that cycle, you kind of have to do both. You got to protect yourself from it, and then you got to stop giving it power, and then eventually you won't need your protection anymore. So that's how I would answer that question if I was asked. Do you believe in a protection amulet can actually bring you the thing it's supposed to protect you from? Well, if you're protected from it, then you got nothing to worry about, right? So it's if you start looking up demonic evocation and start doing it and not knowing how to protect yourself, then I think that statement is completely real. I think the fact that you started doing something that you didn't really know about, and you open up the idea like, okay, I'm going to be summoning demons, shit. And I don't think you could summon demons until you actually summon demons. You know what I mean? I don't think there's going to be demons around you all the time. However, I think there are exceptions to the rule. I think that people are not just going to be subjugated and affected by demons just random willy-nilly unless they are doing something or someone else has superimposed one on them, or they're somewhere, that like the King Tut thing, the sarcophagus, however you say that word, basically, where the mummies lay and all that, was apparently cursed and all that, and what relate on it. But technically, we know, or at least there's been some things written, I don't know if it was on walls or parchment or wherever. This is something I'm just throwing out there, and I'm not saying I believe in it or even if it's true, but from what I gathered from that, there was an egregore or servitor or thought form created to scare people away. I mean, if you knew someone was going to die, or when someone died, if you had this information, level of knowledge, if you knew how to make servitors and stuff like that, why would you not do that? Especially if you're stashing gold and shit in there. A lot of these old Egyptians and things like that. I'm losing my train of thought, sorry. Some of these old, wherever they kept their dead, which we know is not the pyramids now, or at least we're told, but wherever they kept their dead sarcophaguses, they would put gold with them and stuff like that, and it was all stuff of the afterlife. Now, once again, I've given gold to spirits on my altar as well, but the way I give gold is I put the gold on there, and I tell them they can have whatever they need out of it, which is basically the essence of it. They don't actually need the gold, but it's what the gold represents. It represents the sacrifice from me. And if I get some kind of knowledge, vision, or dream that I need to take that gold and chuck it in a fucking river or ocean or bury it or try to set it on fire, which means I have to get a torch that goes above what regular fire in my torch can do. But I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to give it to one of the elements and tell the element that it needs to get to this person because that's who told me to do it in the dream. So, but that's how you do it. So when you're giving stuff food. They don't actually come down and eat the food. They don't actually come drink the drink. But that's the reason I like alcohol. Alcohol is called spirits after all, right? Like hard alcohol, it's called spirits, right? So you can go believing all the stuff on there saying whenever you drink spirits, then a spirit takes over your body. And I'm sure there's definitely, and I could totally make that case as well. But they take the essence out of it, whatever that essence is. And maybe it could even be said that, if when you give that to them, they go in there and then you can drink it. But I don't drink the alcohol I offer them. I take it and once again I put it on the ground. So when it comes to the gold and stuff like that I've left Mammon, whenever I did my stuff for Mammon, that was one of the things. I took my gold chain off my neck and I left it on my altar for a couple of weeks. And then when I got to 10 grand, I put the necklace back on. Now I gave away that necklace because I had such a dream telling me I needed to do something with it, basically. So I did exactly what happened in the dream with it, and it's now gone. You'll never see that gold necklace on me anymore because I gave it up. And that might be the reason why. Maybe because I offered it to a spirit. It actually had to be a sacrifice, and I wasn't able to have it anymore. I wasn't able to use it anymore, Wow, I'm way off topic. I was talking about Solomon. The Lord of the Rings, right? Saruman. It's not Solomon, but Saruman, I want to say. And I'm pretty sure that's the big bad guy's name. However, one of Gandalf's buddy wizards that ended up betraying him or whatever had a similar name. And I can't remember what it was. But so the two bad guys in there that were made evil, their name resembles a lot to King Solomon. Not only that, Lord of the Rings, right? Who is the Lord of the Rings? Well, we know that's Saturn. Saturn evil, being the devil, being Satan, not the devil. That kind of stuff. Anybody who did anything good gets demonized, right? By culture. And if it's not directly done by the priest, it would be done by the culture. But I just thought it was I thought it was worth mentioning clearly that I was drawn to the word Psalms, Psal, Psalm.